gonna do right here is go back into time.
Previously on the Rich Eisen Show.
Nobody ripped out your heart and showed it to you pumping than Michael Jordan. Nobody did it. He's the all-time greatest. Period. End of story. You have to see this documentary. I cannot wait for it. And it will end the conversation, the argument that comes up every now and then. Who's the all-time great? April 19th. That's Sunday, and then the NFL draft, and then when the draft's over, another Sunday. I cannot wait for this documentary. Can't wait.
Another Rich Eisen Show is coming at you right now.
Y'all ready for this?
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
There's a real chance that Roger Goodell could host this draft from his home in Bronxville, New York.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
If all 32 teams are not allowed, then none of the 32 will be able to be allowed in their facility.
Heard nationwide, televised online at richeisenshow.com.
Do it and provide the distraction that I'm hoping we still will all want between the 23rd and 25th of April.
Today's guests: Alabama wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, Baltimore Ravens defensive end Calais Campbell, New Orleans Saints head coach Sean Payton, co-founder of 35 Ventures, Rich Kleiman, and now it's Rich Eisen.
All right, everybody, welcome to this edition of the Rich Eisen Show. We are live in our Los Angeles studios and pleased that you are with us today and that we are thrilled that we are healthy and well enough to be with you. Like I keep saying every day to start this show, we hope wherever you are that you are healthy and well and everybody in your family is. We are hoping that if you have the ability to stay at home, please do so. Larry David with a brilliant PSA on behalf of the state of California that came out yesterday. We'll play it for our YouTube video viewers, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show, to watch us every single day starting at noon Eastern time. And we thank this Rich Eisen Show radio affiliate, this loyal affiliate, for putting us on the air. And Sirius XM is how you can listen to us, I believe, on the Dan Patrick radio channel.
That's 211 on Sirius.
For those scoring at home. We hope you still are. So that's how we're rolling today. You feeling good over there, Mike Del Tufo? Everything good?
I am all good, Rich. How you doing?
Audio's all checked out.
All checked out.
Brockman, you're wearing a something from the Hockey League collection over there.
I'm going polos.
You trying to go a little slow, a little swole today? Is that what you're doing?
Guns out. I've been working out at home. I got the home gym going.
Have you really been doing that?
You know what? I really have just like 2 sets of dumbbells. So I've just been doing dumbbell
like
workouts
with this
at home.
show and what we're doing here, and then for what you're doing over there, right?
Basically, it's like in between feedings, I'm like bumping out some curls. That's about all.
The homeschooling, the remote learning is beginning today in the household, and
is Taylor in charge?
Oh my gosh, yeah, nobody's the boss of her,
Nobody's the boss.
As we know. Oh, by the way, Cooper wrote a note. We'll play that later on the YouTube feed.
Oh, lovely.
My kids are all jealous that I think Cooper's jealous that we talked about my kids' notes on the show.
Yeah, he didn't have one.
Well, he has one. Everybody's writing notes in our household. So I guess, Chris, you could tell me. I honestly don't have blinders on when it comes to the NFL. I don't believe I do. I really don't believe I do. I criticize.
You get accused of that all the time.
I know. I do. So the NFL came out yesterday while we were on the air to talk about some of the votes that were taken yesterday, in which a 7th playoff team was added in each conference. And congrats to my friends at CBS and NBC, everybody in the television industry needing sports TV, looking for some good news. Congrats to my colleagues there who got a playoff game awarded to them. And Jeff Pash, I guess, I don't know his title off the top of my head. I've known him since we started NFL Network in 2003.
General counsel.
He's the top lawyer there. Got on the phone and basically said the NFL is planning on having a season with fans. Everything, basically, like everything's coming up roses starting this fall. And look, we all know what's going on in the real world right now. We all know what's going on outside our doors. You know, we're here in our La La Land for this next 3 hours on this show, and we're pleased that you join us to go down this wormhole, I guess, of just tapping out and talking sports, an escape. And the NFL would be the greatest escape. It would be the greatest escape since Steve McQueen, I guess, hopped that fence with his motorcycle, right?
Nice.
And, man, I hope we can get it. Doesn't look like we can right now. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you heard
it looks bleak.
You heard what yesterday's latest projections of what, our federal government is now calling a success, and it just is downright scary and awful. I guess 2 Michigan stadiums full of human beings that no longer would be on the planet. That's what we're talking about. So how can we sit here and say that actual real football stadiums would be filled up with fans just rooting for players? It seems doubtful, unlikely. Would it be better if the NFL said, we don't know, which Jeff Pash did at one point say, I might not even be here tomorrow? He
did say that.
I mean, so, look, the draft going on as planned is putting stress on a lot of people in the NFL world, but stress is what's going on the front lines in a hospital right now.
Yes.
That's stress.
That's real world
Somebody
stress.
who's going to a hospital right now with a loved one and then dropping them off and wondering if they'll see them again. That's stress. I think everyone in the NFL world can get through, whatever stress is being done for the draft. Television, all of us at NFL Network, we're wondering what's this going to look like? How are we going to roll tapes? How's it going to, where am I going to be? Where's the control room going to be? Where's everyone going to, we have no idea. People are scrambling, probably as I'm talking right now. Same thing probably at ESPN and same thing in draft rooms. Everybody's scrambling. But if not now, when are we going to have it? I honestly, and I know the NFL is being bashed today for being tone deaf. I mean, you know what? Put up a poll question. Let's do it. Let's use our platform to put up a poll question.
Okay.
Do you want the draft to go off as scheduled?
Let's do it.
Yes or no?
At Rich Eisen Show right now. Give us a call, 844-204-RICH.
Or let's put it out there. I mean, is it tone deaf for the NFL to put a draft out as scheduled, or is that too, slanted of a question? Right?
Do you think the NFL draft should go on as scheduled?
Right. Do you think the NFL draft should go on as scheduled? Yes or no?
I had a much more fun poll question.
Well, here's the beautiful thing about Twitter, Chris. Chris, here's a beautiful thing about Twitter is we could do both.
You're right.
At Rich Eisen Show.
Of course.
We could put out 1,000 of them.
We really could.
Okay, and you could put out, hey, it takes 90 hours to get the results. Right? I mean, we could do that. I'm not trying to dissuade you from having fun. That's the reason why literally we got out of our homes to come here, is to have fun on behalf of people who are looking to have some, whether it's listening to it or watching us. Again, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. When the draft hits, and again, people are in search of something to talk about other than what we're talking about. Thursday night, 8 Eastern time, the commissioner will come out either at the league office in New York or in his own home, as Peter King described. I will come your way either from my own home or a room at NFL Network. I'm hoping I would sign for either one right now. I really would.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'd have one of my children write a sign to put on the front of my office doors. Daddy's hosting the draft. Do not enter.
Stay out.
Private. Stay out.
I have a couple live things I can put. I can give you a couple of those.
I will take one. We have the on-air light that we got from NFL Network the day that NFL Network was born. We could put that one out. Thing. You know what? Probably one of my dogs would go ape over it and start barking. Here we are. We have a trade to announce, and you hear just one of my dogs barking in the background, and I'm like, hey, adopt, don't shop. I'll turn it into something. But I do you want it or not?
100%.
Right? I mean,
we need it.
But I think so, and I'm willing to work for it.
We need it, but can it go on a few weeks later?
Well,
I mean, if we're just doing something where it's the commissioner reading names from his office, that can be done at any time. I think it's just a little tone deaf to come out and say, we're going to start the season on time in September with full stadiums. That's a little like, come on, bro.
Well, I mean, honestly, we were on the air when Jeff Pash said it. Did he say it like, come hell or high water, we're going to do this? Like, Like we were going to open the economy on Easter Sunday, right? I mean, or did he say this is what our plan is and this is what we want? This is what we're telling our sponsors that this is what we want. This is what we're telling our television networks. This is what we want. Is it better to basically say we're doubtful that the season's going on right now?
I don't think you need to say that, but
I
I think,
so that's what
but I
I
think
don't
this is one of those
understand.
situations where normally in life, when someone asks you a very poignant question and you say, "I don't know," that's not acceptable. But in this case, saying "I don't know" is a perfectly acceptable answer.
But again, it's once again that the NFL is viewed in the role of government. You know what I'm saying? The NFL is not the government. In the same way that everybody looks at Roger Goodell, how come you didn't punish this person that the judge let go?
Right.
How do you not punish this person that the safety net that's set up governmentally in this United States of America let slip through the cracks? How come you're not the one doing it? Well, because he's a commissioner of a sport. So everybody's looking at the NFL to tell him something that we kind of already know. Look, we know this fall it's in doubt. We all know. We all see when we see Brady signing with the Bucks. We got, tomorrow's show, we got Chris Godwin coming on. We'll go down a little bit of a fun diversion talking about 12 now is number 14, and 12 is still 12.
Right.
Just from red, white, and blue to pewter or whatever their new colors are going to be. Right, we'll go down that. But we all know that, let's knock on wood.
Right.
Because that means we're all healthy and maybe 100, 200,000 people aren't dying if the NFL can come back and we're all filling up stadiums. Or there's enough antivirals out there to make it safe enough for people to go out, or we get testing finally in all these parking lots that we were told there'd be testing in all of these, spots that are in strip malls all over the country. All those CEOs that strode up there in the Rose Garden 2 weeks ago saying, hey, testing's coming and it'll be free. And now there's only 5 of them, as I read today. I mean, look, we could go down that spot. Why do we need the NFL to tell us that? We all know it. We all sense it. Every single time there's a sports story, we're like, oh, man, that would be great if it happens this fall. I don't know.
On the day where Wimbledon gets canceled.
How about what took them so long? Right? How come we don't look to the All England Racket Club for advice? Did I get that right?
I think it's the All England Health and Racket Club.
Well, I mean, please. Right?
Well, Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club.
No, please.
Sorry.
I did not mean to slight the croquet crowd in the UK. All that said, we are going to have a 3-hour show where we'll be a diversion for you. Calais Campbell, the new, he was kind of the first signing of the
He was.
free agent, or the first acquisition.
The first announced.
There's
Yeah.
a first 5th-round draft choice traded for a guy up front for the Ravens.
Who might have been Defensive Player of the Year.
By the way, they saw Derrick Henry run him over, and they're like, let's get Calais Campbell, let's get Brockers. They did it. The Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner is going to Baltimore. Calais Campbell will join us top of hour 2. And then right after him, Sean Payton, who has been cleared of the coronavirus, he will join us. And, he's on the competition committee. I wonder what they're talking about with this draft. Is it possible that this thing does get pushed? And also, Breeze, Taysom Hill, Emmanuel Sanders. Man, there was so much to talk about Sean Payton. I'm glad he's going to join us right in the middle of this show.
Facing Tom Brady
Malcolm
twice a year.
Jenkins is back. He's got to face Brady twice a year.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Rich Kleiman of 35 Ventures, his client in the NBA, I think you've heard of him. His name is Kevin Durant. Today is apparently potentially the last day the NBA cuts a salary check for the players. That there's a lot of questions going on. Will they, along with the NBA and NBAPA, the NBA Players Association, Woj reporting that they're discussing scenarios for withholding up to 25% of players' remaining salaries in a league escrow should regular season games eventually be canceled. I don't want to go too down a legal wormhole. Force majeure, or words that you see in many contracts. Rich Kleiman will talk about his client, Kevin Durant, He's a fellow New Yorker. He started working at Jay-Z's Rock Nation. I mean, there's so much to talk about with him in hour 3. So, first up, though, is Jerry Jeudy, who wears a Star of David around his neck because his last name is Jeudy. Now, I'm a bar mitzvah Jew. I don't mind it. I kind of like it.
Is he Judy-ish?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because Julian Edelman used to always tell us he was Jew-ish.
But Jerry Jeudy, it's spelled Jeudy.
Correct.
And Jerry made a big mistake as far as I'm concerned.
Whoa.
Huge mistake. Did not leave Alabama before his bowl game against Michigan. And it was it was something I had a big problem with.
Let's see how he did
That he actually wanted to be with his teammates and ball out and compete. Oh, dude, you have to look it up. Look at the first pass of the game.
Hold on.
First pass of the game.
I want to get all of them.
First pass of the game for Alabama. Jerry Jeudy. Still running. I think he hit his head on the goalpost. Did he?
6 catches, 204 yards, and a touchdown.
What do you need to do that for?
Which is accuracy,
Honestly,
Rich. Accuracy.
He needed the extra 204 yards and a touchdown. Did he really?
Well, put him over 1,000 for the season.
I guess he needed it. That one touchdown started the game for Alabama.
85 yards.
Yep. Still running. How dare he?
Oh, look, the highlight is on this little side video.
Stop it. One of the top receivers in the draft that is going off on April 23rd, 22 days from now. Good riddance, March 2020. I have a feeling we're going to be saying the same thing about April. Let's all band together and stay together best we can. Can we, please? Boy, I just got a lot off my chest there to start this show, didn't I?
That's important.
844-204-RICH, number to dial. Rich Eisen Show is our Twitter feed. At Rich Eisen Show is our poll question. Do you think the NFL? What is it? What did you? Should the NFL?
Do you think the NFL draft should go on as scheduled?
Okay, that's on our Twitter feed at Rich Eisen Show. That's the same address of our Facebook and Instagram page, YouTube.com/Rich Eisen Show as well. We'll take a break. When we come back, Jerry Jeudy of Alabama, and soon of the National Football League. That's next on the Rich Eisen Show. It's Sean Payton, Calais Campbell, and Rich Kleiman still to come. We're back. All right. We got bots?
Yeah, there's a few sneaking in. There's a few sneaking in.
What does it mean that we have almost the same number of, I just looked at our YouTube feed, we have almost the same number of live viewers as Andrew Cuomo does right now? Does that mean we're doing the right thing for being on the air? I don't know. So.
Don't argue with your brother on this feed.
By the way, that was wild, wasn't that?
It's crazy.
Well, I mean, one brother asked the other brother, are you thinking of running for president?
Well, he asked a question that we've all been thinking.
Well, I know that, but he also asked a yes or no question.
He did. He asked it like 4 times, and he got like 8 no's.
Then he went and made him kind of.
Maybe he should write the same note for my children.
The note that I have on my desk.
Oh, we got it ready? We got it ready. Okay, So, Don, do you have the photograph first? The photograph, if you don't mind. There it is. There's the Lego roller coaster.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
That took several weeks of heartache
Really?
and pain to put
That
together.
is
Really?
cool.
That's 4,000 pieces.
I want
That
one
was a
of those.
Hanukkah gift. It got put
That's
together
amazing.
by April. Thank you, Nana Schuster,
wanna
right
do
there.
that. I
There you
wanna
go.
build
By the way, my mom has been monitoring this via FaceTime as well. If my mom's out
Is
there
that
watching
a
on YouTube, There
family
it is.
effort, or who is doing the bulk of the lifting
It
there?
was Xander's, and then Zan didn't want to start it, and then Cooper's like, I'll do it. And then so Coop did some, and then of course Xander said, oh, that's mine,
wasn't right.
And then Taylor would put together. If you see on the back end on the last one of what goes up, right? You see there's like a black strip.
Yeah.
Those are that's 200 some odd small little pieces that you put together. Taylor did that. And then many pieces went missing because Taylor would just take them and put them together. You see that on the left? There's some other stuff that's right there. She would put her own Legos together using pieces. Now put up the note. This was from Coop. Here's the note. Here's the note from Coop. Oh, it's okay. Okay, here you go. Now here comes the note from my buddy Cooper, my 9-year-old Coop, my youngest son. Dear Mom and Dad, Every time Taylor goes to the Lego roller coaster, she's like a zombie the whole entire time, only when she's moving the thing, and she never moves for our turn. You see the asterisk of R down at the bottom? Xander and I.
Clarifying.
So please stop her. Love the person that did more than the amount she did.
I mean,
Cooper.
this is so good. I mean,
The passive aggressivity with great writing, by the way.
By the
I'm
way,
very
what's
proud
with
of.
all the note writing?
yeah, I like this. It's like, get it on paper.
There's a lot of note writing. There's a
Lot
paper
of
trail.
I
note
wish I
writing.
had done
Paper
that with
trail.
my brother.
Follow the paper trail.
I wish I had that when I was a kid with my brother.
My
paper
goodness.
Paper
trail,
trail
huh?
would have been great, my brother.
My brother and I would just like fist fight.
I don't know.
I did that too.
I
But I mean, the paper trail would have been good.
Coop saw that I posted some notes on Instagram, and Susie did as well.
He felt a little left out.
I perhaps.
Yeah.
But he's like, I can write a note too.
Yeah.
Love the person that did more than the amount she did.
We got asterisks.
Or
We
less
got
than that.
underlines.
You got underlines. You got asterisks. By the way, he then went and there it is. Love the person that did more than the amount she did. Great one. He then went and typed it up, printed it out,
Xander
cut
and
it
Cooper
out,
with the
and put it out
asterisk.
too. There's two versions of this note.
The asterisk with Xander and I.
Xander and I,
With the
our
asterisk.
turn.
I love it.
So please stop her.
I mean,
Amazing.
fantastic.
Wow.
It's
That is
just fun.
incredible.
Well.
Well,
I mean,
well,
So now
well.
we have Cooper in this conversation. It's coming up. No, that's not a new one. But
This is
a lot of note writing in the
Lot
Eisen
of
Schuster
note
world
writing.
right now.
You guys can talk, sit down, hash it out.
They're working. It's true.
they need it.
You should see the way that thing moves. I got a video of it. It's
It
amazing.
looks awesome.
It looks pretty cool.
Well,
I would
I mean,
love that as a
And
kid.
here's the crazy thing: it put like 4 months to put together, and then when it goes around,
It takes like 2 seconds. And
it takes
it's
2
done.
seconds.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, there you go. See
I'm
those-
glad that Legos are still a thing.
Oh God, it's amazing. The books, you see those two booklets. Those two booklets are what you follow to put
The
together.
instruction manuals. Yeah. Man, I
used to
Oh, by the way,
Loved
Don
Legos
Bowie,
when I
according
was a
to producer,
kid.
just said you need to get another one. There is like 4 other. You can
You
put a whole
can-
amusement park together.
Oh my gosh.
Help.
Hell.
Lot of notes.
Lot
coming
of
up.
note writing.
All right. Maybe for Xander's bar mitzvah. Speaking of which, Jerry Judy's coming up.
Are they?
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Our poll question that's up and running at Rich Eisen Show is, do you think the NFL draft should go on as planned? And that's out there right now for you to go vote yes or no. We don't usually put yes or no questions, but that's the question of the day that a lot of people are wondering right now. I don't know. You'd probably get a lot of scouts, front office people, certainly if they can't get into their draft rooms right now, their war rooms, or get full access to the whole scope of videos that they can call up at a press of a button and all the screens that are in front of them. If those teams can't get in there, they'd probably vote no. Teams that can get in would probably vote yes. Sean Payton of the Saints will be joining us. Calais Campbell, the reigning Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner, now of the Baltimore Ravens, will join us top of hour 2. And Rich Kleiman, the agent of Kevin Durant and also the co-founder of 35 Ventures. And the executive producer of A Kid from Coney Island, a recent Stephon Marbury joint.
I'm into that.
Yeah, he'll be joining us in hour number 3, but one of the top wide receivers in all of the land, getting set to hear his name called on April 23rd, because it will be not a very long night for one of the top wide receivers that Alabama has sent out in quite some time, Jerry Jeudy, here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Jerry?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Well, Jerry, you know what? I'm doing fine, thank goodness. I'm healthy. I'm knocking on wood. Everybody in my family is. I hope everybody is in your neck of the woods. Is that would that be a safe assumption? Hopefully.
Oh yeah. Well, everybody good over here.
Okay. Well, good. Glad to hear that. Jerry, first things first. My bone to pick with you. I'm a University of Michigan Wolverine graduate. Why did you play that bowl game against Alabama? Why didn't you just save yourself for the draft, Jerry?
No, it's not about saving myself. I'm a guy that like to compete, so I just wanted to go out there and compete one last time with my brothers. Just finishing off strong. We ain't finished the season how we wanted to, so I didn't want to finish my career at Alabama as a loser. So I wanted to finish out as a winner and play one more game with my brothers. Right.
So why did you not just step away then after you scored that 85-yard touchdown? Don't you think you proved enough, Jerry, in that game?
Nah, man.
No?
I want to do a little bit more, man. It's just fun to be out there competing, so I just wanted to do a little bit more to help my team win the game.
Well, normally I'd respect that sort of work ethic, but I was very upset, Jerry. Very, very upset. Very upset watching that game. But I guess you had to do what you had to do, right?
Yes, sir.
What's the most upset you've ever seen Nick Saban, Jerry?
Can you repeat that, please?
What was the most upset you ever saw Nick Saban?
The most upset when I seen him during practice. Like, I guess somebody brought him the wrong hat and it couldn't fit. So he got real mad and started yelling about his hat. It was funny to me, but he was like very mad.
Okay, now walk me through this. What sort of hat was it, Jerry?
Those little straw hats he be wearing in practice.
Oh, that's right. I've seen those. Right. And
yeah. So somebody brought him that. I guess it was too small, and he just was yelling, telling like it can't fit. I think he was already aggravated about us having a bad practice, so he just blew it out of proportion when it came to the hat.
So is it one of those moments where you don't want to laugh, but you had to laugh, and you're trying to make sure he doesn't see you laugh? Is that one of those moments?
Yeah, that was the moment. Yes, sir.
What about the most angry you ever made him? Did that ever happen, Jerry?
The most angry I ever made him was, let me see. I can't think of none right now.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, well, that's good. Well, then I guess let me flip it and be a little bit more positive. Is what sort of coach is Nick Saban to make you into the player that you are about to hand off to the NFL?
A player that's going to go about his work and about his business, do everything right on the field. I feel like Coach Saban really had me well prepared to be in the situation I'm in now, just by the way he just had everything organized at Alabama to make you become a pro. So I felt like that was a big situation there.
Jerry Jeudy here on the Rich Eisen Show. Who's your influence? Who is your wide receiver influence growing up, or maybe over the last several years? Who have you emulated, Jerry?
Growing up, when I first really started learning the game of receiver, I like watching Calvin Ridley. Cal really taught me a lot in my game. And since then, I like watching Mark Cooper, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, guys that really know how to run routes, know the details and fundamentals of route running, know how to manipulate defenders to make them think they're going one way. Receivers like that, I learned a lot from. Okay.
I didn't hear Julio Jones' name. Aren't you supposed to say that?
Yeah, Julio Jones, he's a great player, but I watch him a lot, but I just watch him a lot. He will see that he's a big, tall receiver, 6'4", 210, running 4.3. That's not me. So I really watch him a lot, but he's a great guy to look over.
Yeah, the 6'1", 192-pound at the Combine, Jerry Jeudy, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What is your I guess, last couple of weeks that normally would have been filled with a pro day and potential visits? What has that been like? Have you been Zooming with teams? What has your last couple of weeks been like?
It really been you can't really do too much, but at the same time, it's a time to work on yourself. So I just go anywhere to work out, whatever open, and I just try to find an open field. A lot of fields down here closed and stuff. So whenever I get a chance to find a field, I just
Oh, did we just lose Jerry right there?
Yeah, I think we lost him.
All right, well, just put him on hold there, and we'll see if he can get back on the air here. There you are. You there, Jerry?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We lost you there for a second. So you're not working out. Have you talked to teams?
Huh?
Have you talked to teams specifically?
Yeah, I talked to a couple of teams.
You want to give me some names?
Yeah, I talked to a couple of teams. I don't want to really mention out teams' names right now. So I'm just really good.
Okay.
I'm out here working right now and doing this interview, so I'll be right.
Yeah, where are you right now? It sounds like you're outside, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm outside. We were just working out, running some routes right now.
Okay. Who's throwing to you?
Huh?
Who's throwing to you?
We got a lot of group of guys. We got AB here. We got Josh Hamlin. We got LJ, Lamar Jackson. Victor Hollywood Brown. We just out here trying to get better.
Hold on a second, Jerry. Did you say you're getting thrown to by the reigning most valuable player of the National Football League? Lamar Jackson is throwing passes to you right now?
Oh, yes, sir. You know how he from down here, so we just connected, come work out.
Okay, and AB, is that Antonio Brown you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
So, okay. So right now, you're outside. We can hear the wind blowing. You just stepped off a field with who? With Lamar Jackson, Antonio Brown, and who?
Hollywood Brown.
Hollywood Brown. Okay.
Yes, sir.
How many points could you put up right now, do you think, the four of you?
Yeah, I don't know, man. A lot, probably.
Okay, so what does Antonio Brown look like, Jerry?
Huh?
What does Antonio Brown look like? Describe him.
He look good. You know, everybody knows Antonio Brown as a hard-working guy. Really take care of his body. Really work on his nutrition. He look good. He look like he could play another 8, 9, 10 more years.
So he is, but he looks as good as Antonio Brown's ever looked, is what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what advice is he giving you, Jerry? Is he giving you any advice?
Yeah, you know, he telling me always work hard, you know, never be complacent, just work on the fundamental of your game, work on the little thing that you don't feel like you need to work on, but that will enhance your performance on the field. So I'm just doing little things like that.
And what about Lamar? What's he telling you?
He just telling me to do what I do, you know. He don't really tell me too much, but keep working hard and stay focused. You know, he already know I got a level-headed. I'm level-headed. Just he know that I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do to get to where I need to go.
Okay, and so this is all going down in the state of Florida.
Yes, sir.
Where in Florida?
We right here in Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale. Okay. Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in the great outdoors. Hopefully not there's less than 10, and hopefully you're social distancing, right? You're making sure you're 6 feet away from each other. We got to make sure everybody's happy and healthy. Certainly.
Yeah, I feel like everybody good. Ain't no coughing and sneezing over here.
Okay. All right. So before I let you go here, Jerry, you know, I'm a bar mitzvah Jewish man. Very, very rarely do I bring that up with people, but you have a Star of David around your neck, correct, Jerry? You got that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
Now, who gave that to you?
I got it myself.
Okay. Now, why is that?
Yeah. You know, people call me Jew, so short for Jeudy.
Right.
So I just thought, get a Jewish star.
Okay.
And I just something that creative I thought in my mind, and I just put a picture of my little sister in it.
Okay.
Because she means a lot to me, just because it's like a nickname.
I love that. That's great. So you're adding a little bit of personal love to what's a wonderful symbol of religion and also the state of Israel. And for me, I mean, if you need any, you know, tips on being Jewish or Jewishness, you can reach out to me. I will help you with that, Jerry. Okay?
I appreciate that.
No, you got it. Absolutely, because we got to make sure, again, that you gotta be somebody that talks a lot about food, portion size, you know, long goodbyes. The goodbyes are very, very long. Okay. Have you ever tried gefilte fish, Jerry?
Can you repeat that, please?
Have you ever tried gefilte fish?
Gefilte fish? No, I never tried that.
Oh, it's that time of year too.
The first time I heard of gefilte fish was on Rush Hour.
On Rush Hour.
When Chris Tucker like Gefilte fish.
That's it.
Gefilte fish. Yeah, at the end.
Mhm.
Him and Jackie Chan, that was funny.
That's it. Now we're on the same page here. Now we got it working. All right, Jerry.
Yeah, sure.
Appreciate the time. Tell those guys hello. Tell them I said hi. And Antonio Brown blocked me on Twitter a long time ago. So we got to get that rectified. If you want to bridge that gap, that's fine with me. And tell Mr. Jackson I sent my best. Okay.
Okay, I got you.
You got it. And once again, I appreciate you calling in, and I just wish you hadn't played in the bowl game. But that's just me, Jerry. You had to do what you had to do. Thanks for the time.
No problem. Thank you.
You got it. That's Jerry Jeudy, everybody. See, now that was a long goodbye.
That was a long goodbye.
I just gave him the
That
long
was
goodbye.
nice. That was
I
nice.
just couldn't stop.
Couldn't stop. By the way, nice of him to just slide that in there on that.
I'm practicing with.
By the way, that's the first.
He said LJ, Hollywood, and AB. He just said it real fast, and we just kind of looked at each other like, does he mean who we think he means?
First lesson to anybody out there listening and watching. Okay? People ask me, like, what's the first order of business when you're interviewing somebody? I sometimes get asked questions about my profession. The most important part of interviewing somebody is listening. Because so many people will map out the questions that you're asking, or they'll have a list in front, and you'll just go one or the other, and it doesn't matter what they say. You've got to listen. So I heard AB, Hollywood, LJ.
LJ, that's what he said, yeah. Because you were like, who's throwing at him? He said, well, LJ's throwing, and AB and Hollywood are here.
Yeah, who's throwing? Oh, yeah, the reigning MVP of the National Football League. He's throwing to me. Oh, yeah, that's Hollywood Brown, you know. Oh, yeah, that's Antonio Brown.
How about that for a triplet offense?
Oh, that's what I said. How many points you think he could score? Man. Antonio Brown, I'll just say this once again. I know he's blocked me on Twitter or whatever, and I kind of have my fun with that because I'm probably one of thousands that he has done that to, certainly in the media. I'm sure I got blocked because of how critical I was of how he handled his business last fall. And I saw the videos that are out there that caused me to think this guy is disturbed. Very disturbed. I can only hope he gets straightened out mentally, and can only hope that whatever legal issues he may have that causes the NFL to put him on the exempt list, that definitely causes teams to stay away from signing him because that is not resolved. I hope it all gets resolved. I hope it all gets resolved and Antonio Brown comes back into the National Football League, balls out, and uses that platform to tell people like Jerry Jeudy, hey, there are issues sometimes in life. There are issues sometimes in between your temples. How many people do we have that come on this show and talk about mental health? And the videos are widely shared.
Rex Chapman just this week.
Just this week. Reposting the Tyson Fury segment the night that he beat Deontay Wilder, where he talked about how he wanted to kill himself multiple times. And he still battles every day. The day he was here back in June to promote his fight previous to Deontay Wilder, he talked about how he had a gray day the day before and he may have one the next. That's when he's at his pinnacle. Mental health is no joke. And people share those videos because it is relatable. And we all know people with it. We all know people who struggle with it. We all know people who struggle with it. People are hearing me right now or seeing me right now, maybe nodding their head wherever they're hearing me or seeing me. And there's no crutch. There's no cast. You can't tell who has it. Sure looks like Antonio Brown has it. It's very difficult to say those things into a microphone because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I just see what I see. I only hope that he would be able to get everything straightened out and return to a sport where platforms can be used for so much good, including Calais Campbell, top of the next hour. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. We'll take your phone calls. I want to hear your fun poll question, too, Christopher, okay?
You got it, buddy.
All right. Calais Campbell, Sean Payton, Rich Kleiman here on The Rich Eisen Show. I'm going to make an admission.
Oh.
Never saw Rush Hour.
I've probably watched
that a
segments
wow?
of it.
Is that
I'm
a
with
wow?
you. No,
Is that a
I'm
wow?
with you, Rich. I haven't either.
Rush Hour is
No, I'm not saying it's not good. I've just
Hilarious.
never seen it.
Neither have I.
all right. I mean, it's a good one.
That's not a.
That's a good one?
That's a good question by Don. Mount Rushmore of movies you've never seen.
Well, I don't know what. That's all subjective. I mean, I could say.
I'm just saying for you. Like, what are four? What's
Well,
up?
do you have your mic- do you have
Turn
your
your mic
microphone?
on,
Come on.
TJ.
TJ
Yeah.
keeps talking
it's
off
like-
camera. He
Not
can't
your,
find
not your
his
first
mic.
day.
There you go.
Not your first
What do you got
picnic,
over there?
TJ.
I'm over here swatting bots. I'm over here
Swatting bots.
Swatting
That's
bots.
right.
Swatting
That
bots.
was a good album. That
Yeah.
was
But I said
De La Soul.
For Rich, in order, we'd have to tell him what would make his Mount Rushmore, because if he hasn't seen the movie, then he wouldn't know that.
So I'm saying it's all subjective what's on a Mount Rushmore, so, I
we
wouldn't
know
know.
he's never seen Goonies.
Right.
Shawshank's mine. Mine.
That's insane. I don't believe you that you've never seen that.
I've never seen it.
That's a beautiful movie. I haven't seen it
It's
nearly as
on
many
my. I
times as
have
you
it
have, though.
set.
No. It's
I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't seen it in weeks.
I have a quarantine list. That's on that.
Like, A Few Good Men was on like 2 nights ago.
Oh, that's, that's a remote drop.
Caught it at the beginning, which never happens.
Yeah, it's
We
usually-
should do that, obviously, as we're going to continue to stay on the air and sports, where there's not much to talk about. We should definitely have an entire show about remote drop movies.
Man, Kate
And book guests from
Kate
it.
Wyan in the chat said she didn't see Grease until 2 years ago.
Oof.
Wow.
Susie
is
showed
the word.
showed Xander in one of the last moments of life being normal a few weeks ago, went to a birthday party for one of his classmates, and it was like a 50s doo-wop sort of roller skate thing. So Suze put him in a white T-shirt and rolled up his jeans at the bottom and did his hair.
Oh, nice.
And prepared him for it by showing him Grease. And they watched Grease
Grease is
in the
great.
house. Grease is the word.
What did he think?
Well, I think he loved it.
Yeah.
I wish I was not in the room. I think she might have done it the night. No, for some reason I wasn't watching. I couldn't watch. But I think he was kind of confused as to why the guy who called Idina Menzel Adele Dazeem was the star of this film. You know, like you could connect the two now pop culture dots decades apart.
Right.
Like, oh, that's what he used to be, not this guy who called my favorite singer of my favorite song at the time, of my favorite movie at the time, Adele Dazeem.
That is still
That might have been
amazing movie.
just clanking around there. But Susie said he loved it, and he told me he loved it. So
Yeah, Grease is awesome.
Grease is the word.
I mean, the late 70s,
It's got groove. It's got meaning.
we had
right?
it.
Boom,
Best
boom,
movies of all
boom,
time.
boom.
In the
Star
70s?
Wars, late 70s. 75 to 80.
Dude,
are epic.
Travolta, man,
was
was a
on
monster.
a
Yeah.
roll. Because don't forget, he was in Welcome Back, Kotter too, one of the hottest television shows.
Yep.
As Vinny
Take a look.
Barbarino.
And then went right to
Travolta.
the.
I think wasn't he in what was it? Wasn't he in
Hold on, I got
also
that.
the
Boy in the Bubble?
the Sly Stallone movie before Rocky?
not Staying Alive. Oh, my God.
No, Staying Alive was after.
Yes. I can't think of the name of it.
He was in Carrie. He did Saturday Night Fever before Grease.
Was he
Yeah.
in?
No,
was
Saturday
he in
Night Fever's
Carrie
first.
too?
Yes.
Yeah. He plays the boyfriend.
Yeah, Billy
He
Nolan.
was the boy in the bubble. Remember? He was
Yeah, the
Boy
Boy
in
in the
the
Bubble.
Bubble.
That was a huge TV movie.
Yeah.
Big TV movie.
The boy in the
Vinny Barbarino, obviously,
Well, he was the
82
one-
episodes.
He was the one who was arguing about the moops, right? Wrong. I'm sorry.
Nice.
Wrong one.
Bro,
Oh, my God.
I mean, Urban Cowboy, man. His
you
run
like that
from
one?
like
I appreciated that. Yes.
Moops.
His late 70s
his run from
play some Trivial Pursuit.
76
is insane.
to even through the early 90s.
Face Off. I mean, when's that?
Well, that was after he made his comeback.
That was
though.
after. Well, yeah.
Comeback.
Well,
which
Look
is-
Who's Talking
just
was
before the
1990.
comeback, though.
Yeah.
And then he had about 4 years of nothing.
The Lords of Flatbush is the movie
That's
I'm
it.
talking about.
Yes. Great movie.
In 1974, was Travolta in that? Henry Winkler was in it.
Lords of Flatbush, not in that.
No. That's
that would
before
be-
him.
that'd be a little
Saturday Night
before Travolta.
Fever is his first big one.
His first credit is Emergency, the TV series.
Great show.
He had a guest spot on
Just
that.
real quick, and again, my mom watches on YouTube, so she might be out there. My brother loved Emergency.
Oh, so did I.
Loved it.
Went nuts.
Loved it. Like that 911 show that's on right now on Fox is like
Yeah.
Emergency decades
yeah.
later, right?
Yep.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing. My brother loved it,
So did I.
but we couldn't watch it because there was only one TV that was and I freaked out when it came out. I couldn't because it freaked me out.
Oh, the beginning of Emergency.
Oh, my God.
When I was a
I
kid,
knew-
Rescue 911 was a show
That's it.
too.
Yeah.
When you were a kid?
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Sean Payton and Calais Campbell will be joining us shortly. Jerry Jeudy just joined us. Did you tweet out from our account that Jerry Jeudy just finished a workout with Lamar Jackson, Antonio Brown, and
Yeah, I told him.
Hollywood Brown?
That's what he said. That's what he told us.
did you include their tags too?
I did.
Attaboy. That's the way to go.
Antonio Brown did not block the show account, so he'll see it. Sorry. He did follow us at one point, and then
He was all over our Instagram page for a long
I know,
time.
I know.
What happened? Yeah.
Dude, what happened is I started speaking my mind.
Well, Rich started telling the truth, and you know.
Our poll question, let's check it out at the end of hour one. It's quite a simple, straight up yes or no question. I hit it with the old retweet.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we're up to almost 4,000 votes right
Okay.
now. Do you think the NFL draft should go on
So
as
4,000
scheduled?
votes is a nice
That's
size number.
that's a nice sample size here. 73% say yes.
Say yes. All right. Andrew in Indiana, let's take your phone call, 844-204-RICH. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, Rich. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for calling.
I just wanted to ask what you think NFL teams will do with free agent contracts if the season does get canceled. Do they just roll over to the next season?
That's a great
or-
question, Matt. Oh, God. The number of questions, if there's no NFL season, do you toll contracts? Do they roll over? What happens? What's the draft order? Do the Bengals choose twice in a row, first overall? Oh, my God, I can't even fathom it, which is another reason why what the NFL would have to deal with a million of those issues. So I honestly, I do not know the answer to any of those questions at all.
What do you think would be? What do you like? At least for contracts that are 1 year ones. Like, I'm a Colts fan. Phillip Rivers, right? He's won a 1 year contract, and he's getting old, right? What about Tom Brady?
Please.
Does he move on to the Bucks? Like, no, they've just lost basically a year of his career.
I
even
know.
though they have him on a 2-year.
I know. And then what
contract.
happens is he's a 44-year-old when he comes back. Andrew, thank you for the call. I mean, these are all what-if questions that who wants to answer them now on April 1st, 2020? Anybody? I mean, or would you rather let's go through the draft, let's see how life goes? Brett McMurphy of Stadium yesterday, when he came on, he talked about that poll that he made of every single one of the athletic directors, in the FBS, Chris.
Yep.
He then quoted the Pac-12 commissioner saying the end of May is when that's kind of that fail-safe point where they have to decide is there a season or not.
So we got
So
2 months.
we got 2 months.
2 months.
It's
8
2
weeks.
months now. 2 months. And a quarter of the athletic directors that he polled, 50-50, they say it's a coin flip as whether there's a season. So
That was after Kirk Herbstreit said he doesn't
think there will be. Look,
be.
well, if there's no antivirals and there's no, ebbing of this thing, and there's a second spike because certain parts of the country aren't doing what we're doing here in California. Thankfully, it seems that more states than not are having a shelter in place. Right? The state of Florida is apparently split in two.
Yes.
I mean, as if this stuff doesn't travel from one part of the state to the other. It's crossing state lines. It's gone around the world.
Just that video that went viral a couple days ago of the spring breakers at one beach in Fort Lauderdale,
and then the other one,
and then it dispersed throughout the country.
Actually, I think that where you could see
their cell phone, it was their cell phone activity.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Like, come on.
So we don't know. We just don't know. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say let's do a whole show on what happens if there's no season. I'd rather talk about what's going on in a draft later on this month. That is sort of like a light at the end of the tunnel. That's why I would vote yes on the draft, even though I know what a logistical, holy hornet's nest is going on right now with the NFL scouting community and front offices, as well as television networks to put this thing on. But the sun will come up on the 23rd and go down on the 25th, and hopefully it's a bunch of people between the 23rd and the 25th can remove themselves from the reality of our world. And if April is as bad as the president put out there yesterday to say it's going to be, and Dr. Fauci said it's going to be, maybe the 23rd through the 25th is a welcome respite. And those who think it is an affront will hopefully come back when games do get played. Look at it this way. As you're sitting here saying, well, what if there's no 2020, but a bummer? Let's spin it ahead then, too. If we just want to talk about sports, 2021 might be the greatest sports year ever because we'll not take a lot for granted, and everything's going to be out of season to catch up so we can get back in season. Unless we don't know. Right? We can keep going on and on that. What is your fun poll question, Christopher, that you wanted to do today?
My fun poll question. I had it as a story yesterday, but we did not get to it. And today, it looks like it's official. Remember over Thanksgiving of 2018, Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson played that one-on-one match in Las Vegas.
Yeah, man.
Now, it looks like a part 2 is on for sometime in May.
Okay.
Now, yesterday, there was a rumor that the sponsors, whoever was putting it on, wanted each player to have a partner, playing partner.
Yes.
And the names being thrown out,
I heard this,
were Tom Brady and Peyton Manning.
Oh, boy.
It looks like this is official. This is going to happen.
Isn't that amazing?
Tiger Woods will be paired with Peyton Manning, and Phil Mickelson will be paired with Tom Brady. One-on-one somewhere, location not disclosed yet. Nobody knows yet. Very limited production crew.
Of course.
Looks like some big names in all the other sports will be involved in some way. Charles Barkley is a name that's being thrown out.
Well, I mean, in
terms of like commentating,
in the tower, they'll be
or like
be
walking around
house.
with them. They
who
said they are gonna.
Who wouldn't want to see that?
They are going. No fans, obviously.
Right.
Practice social distancing. So this is going to happen on pay-per-view. It's going to be called a coronavirus relief golf match.
And let's raise money. Let's raise a ton of money.
Raise a ton of money.
Which, by the way, they're talking about the NFL draft doing as well.
And my fun poll.
And by the way, the NFL draft is almost as long as a telethon. So it kind of makes. I'm serious.
The first round's 5 to 6 hours.
It is.
So what's your fun poll question?
So my fun poll: if you had to pick one of these guys to be your playing partner,
who would it be
in a golf match? Who would it be? Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson.
Now, obviously, many people just say take Tiger, right? But we're talking handicaps here, right?
Oh, I was just talking about who you thought would be a fun guy to be your playing partner.
Okay.
I know who I would pick.
I know who I'd pick.
Don't say it yet.
I think we'd all pick somebody different, to be honest.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to put this up on Rich Eisen.
Okay. 844-204-RICH. Number to dial as well. I like it, Chris. See, we got a serious,
just something fun.
Serious and a fun. A serious and a fun. Calais Campbell, who is a serious force up front, and we had a lot of fun with him on NFL Game Day morning when he howled for a lone wolf, and it sounded quite something. Do you still have those, Mike? Get that ready for the next hour. That'll be fun. And then Sean Payton, who's on the competition committee, and so much to talk about football-wise with him and, checking in with his health. Man got coronavirus and has gotten through it. Knock on wood if you're with me. Rich Kleiman as well from the NBA world and Kevin Durant's agent. That's coming up in hour 3 in your calls.
Big word alert. Big word alert.
I have a lot of confidence in Coach Pagano.
All right, let's move to a little bit more of an omnibus portion of our conversation here, Coach Matt Nagy. First things first, pass interference now being challengeable. Now you can review this stuff, but...
Let's do this! Up high, Mike. Look it up. Boom. Omnibus, an adjective pertaining to, including, or dealing with numerous objects or items at one time.
Omnibus. Shopping for my big Sunday dinner, I had an omnibus grocery list.
I bet you did.
Big word alert. Big word alert.
I would love nothing more than to ask him like normal, really pointed questions as a Knicks fan that I want answers to try and have a rapprochement between him and Oakley and have and bring them together so I can feel comfortable about going back to the Garden.
Oh my gosh.
I'm more than happy to have him sit in this chair. I wouldn't badger the witness. As far as the Knicks, as far as I'm concerned with the sports teams, let him go. Get him out of there. I'm telling the shareholders of MSG, you don't want this guy making decisions. So let him go play with his harmonica. Let him go. What, you need him? Unless they're saying for him to pay that much money himself that much money, at the very least, he needs to put down the harmonica. So I understand if you're a shareholder and you're like, that's an absurd amount of money, but...
Oh my God. Rapprochement, a noun meaning the establishment or re-establishment of harmonious relations.
Rapprochement. After my crazy ex-wife threw one of my Emmys at me, I knew there was no chance for rapprochement between us.
Mike, I'm proud of you. That was a big moment.
Thanks.
That was a big moment. Appreciate it. And that's it for today's Big Word Alerts. You're welcome.
What we're gonna do right here is go back into time.
Previously on The Rich Eisen Show.
Nobody ripped out your heart and showed it to you pumping than Michael Jordan. Nobody did it. He's the all-time greatest. Period. End of story. You have to see this documentary. I cannot wait for it. And it will end the conversation, the argument that comes up every now and then. Who's the all-time great? April 19th. That's Sunday, and then the NFL draft, and then when the draft's over, another Sunday. I cannot wait for this documentary. Can't wait.
Another Rich Eisen Show is coming at you right now.
Y'all ready for this?
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
There's a real chance that Roger Goodell could host this draft from his home in Bronxville, New York.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
If all 32 teams are not allowed, then none of the 32 will be able to be allowed in their facility.
Heard nationwide, televised online at richeisenshow.com.
Do it and provide the distraction that I'm hoping we still will all want between the 23rd and 25th of April.
Earlier on the show, Alabama wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. Coming up, Baltimore Ravens defensive end Calais Campbell. New Orleans Saints head coach Sean Payton, co-founder of 35 Ventures, Rich Kleiman. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Our number 2 of the Rich Eisen Show is on the air. Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints, will be joining us in hour number 2. Jerry Jeudy, one of the top prospects at wide receiver, in hour number 1, joined us. He was calling in. You could hear the wind blowing. He was outdoors. He said he was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And he had just finished a workout outdoors. I said, who's throwing you the ball? And he said, LJ's throwing it to me, and I got AB out here in Hollywood. And I'm like, oh, okie dokie. Now, hold on a second.
What now?
Let's reverse that. Yeah, the reigning MVP and his top deep threat target from last year on the Ravens and Antonio Brown all together. If you missed any part of that interview, go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. It'll be sitting right there. Our Twitter feed at Rich Eisen Show as well. And now the current teammate of Lamar Jackson and Hollywood Brown joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show, formerly of now the Jacksonville Jaguars, by way of Arizona, by way of the U, the reigning Walter Payton Man of the Year Award winner, Calais Campbell, here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Calais?
Hey, man, life is good, man. No complaints from me.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Everybody happy and healthy in your household then?
Yeah, everybody's healthy and happy.
Thank goodness for that. Okay, walk me through this. I wake up one day and you're a Raven, and you were the first. You could have knocked me over with a feather, Calais, if somebody had told me that Calais Campbell would be the first name on the move in the 2020 free agency frenzy period. Walk me through that, Calais. Did you see that coming?
No, I was very surprised, just as surprised as you were. It's one of those things where, you're kind of just going through the whole process and, just going through regular life. And my agent calls me. He's like, hey, man, there's some talk going on. Stay close to your phone. And then he pretty much texted me the next day. And it's like, man, the Ravens just agreed to trade you. But it's contingent on us getting the deal done. So then we get on the phone and we start kind of figuring out what that deal's going to look like. And I guess we had a couple of days to make it work. And he was talking about what their terms were if we didn't take the deal because they wanted to do a pay decrease in the second year. Keep me this year the same as what I was already making in Jacksonville.
Right.
Change it for the next. It worked out, though. I'm very happy we were able to get the deal done. I think Baltimore's going to be a really good place for me.
Oh, gosh. There's no doubt about it. I mean, and they could really use you. But before we get to that, I just want to stick on the Jacksonville part of things. Why do you think Jacksonville put you on the block and moved you, Calais?
Well, Dave Caldwell did call me after the trade went through, and he told me that it wasn't their intent to move me. They weren't trying to. It just kind of fell into place. He said that Eric DeCosta and him are really good friends, and Eric kept calling. Some other teams kept calling, so then started kind of figuring it out. But he said we had a great 3 years, that he figured out where they're going, and he felt like it was a win-win for all of us. And I mean, I can't be mad at him. At least he got me in a real good situation. Could be a lot worse, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it is a really great situation. And your former teammate Yannick Ngakoue is been franchise tagged. How do you think that's going to all play out? I know it's somebody else's business, and I know you've got your own business, but you do know the organization, you do know the locker room, you do know everything that's going on there in Jacksonville. I mean, how do you think that's going to all play out there?
And well, hopefully with a lot of dollars in Jan's pocket, because he's really a special player and he deserves to be paid, with the best of them. Now, obviously, some people will look at just the sack numbers as a whole and some of the other stuff and be like, oh, well, he's a really good player, but he's not on that level. And I'm like, well, nah, he is. If you look at just the way and what he's capable of doing, the way he pass rushes on a play in and play out, the way he makes other people around him better, and he's just scratching the surface. I mean, the guy just turned 25 yesterday. I mean, he's going to get a lot better as he goes on. And I remember people saying when I got my first deal, they're not paying you for what you did; they're paying you for what you're going to do. And I have a feeling that these next 4 to 5 years of Yannick Ngakoue's career are going to be very, very special, and somebody's going to get him at pretty much a discount for what the going rate is now.
Well, let me keep you in the role of paparazzi, which you played very well when you were with us on the set of NFL Game Day Morning during the playoffs. Before we do move back to your situation in Baltimore, Nick Foles was traded away from your former team to Chicago. Do you think that Gardner Minshew is an everyday 16-game starting quarterback in the NFL? Do you think that if that's the way that your former team goes, that he can do that, Calais?
He has a little something. He has a little something that's special. You don't know what it is. I mean, he just kind of has a knack for making plays. I feel like, he does it in the main, like when the game's on the line is when his best comes out. That fourth quarter game, last drive, is when you see him start playing his best. He has to develop and continue to, he'll be able to play that way for full 4 quarters. But, I mean, he's a rookie last year and came in a high-pressure situation and held his own, and earned the right to be able to be a starting quarterback, for the near future. And he's going to have to continue to fight for his opportunity to show what he can do. But if you look at the measurables, you look at the stuff on paper, you don't get very excited. But when you see him in action, when you see him on the field, he has a little something. He's got a little something special to him, and he has the ability to develop, to be that special player.
In terms of seeing him in action, what was the reaction like when he first walked through the locker room in just a jockstrap? Calais, what was that like? Can you walk me through that?
I've never seen him in just a jockstrap. Our lockers are other sides of the locker room.
Okay.
So I didn't get to experience in that craziness. But I will say he has a big personality. He's very just uplifting person. When he walks into the room, he makes everybody else uplifts the spirits. Just a big energy guy. And, you love having him around.
Calais,
he's a guy who can really build them around.
Calais Campbell here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get to your situation then. Again, you were with us for the playoffs this year, so you were well-versed in the playoffs. You watched every down. I think Derrick Henry is technically still running through that defensive line of the Baltimore Ravens, potentially. I mean, I'm assuming you and Brockers were brought to just basically plug that situation up. Have you been expressly told that by DaCosta and John Harbaugh, anybody from the Ravens?
Well, I mean, in lesser words, pretty much, I think Coach Harbaugh, I have so much respect for him, and he understands that, that the window of when Lamar Jackson on his rookie deal is very, very special. And so, being able to, bring in a guy like me who I pride myself on being the best run stopper in the game, and but also I pride myself on being a great pass rusher too. So, you get the best of both worlds with me, in my opinion. And then I wish I have a lot of respect for Brockers too. I wish he would, that deal would have worked out. But I get it how it goes. In this game you have to make sure people are healthy. But then I think signing Derek Wolfe though. Derek Wolfe is a very, very special player as well. Gets to run and a good pass rusher. And together I feel like we should be able to really elevate that run game, that run defense. And still be able to rush the passer and put pressure, especially with the DBs that Baltimore has. I mean, it's going to be fun. I can't wait.
I bet. So let's get into also your off the field stuff. The reason why you won Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
Hold on. I got to say this though, because I looked up, the rich run stats.
Okay.
I was just curious what the 40 times were. It seems like me and you were kind of two peas in a pie, man. We both get better with time.
I agree.
I don't know how to get it, man.
Do you remember what your 40 time was at the combine?
Yes, I do. And it's not something I want to admit because it's closer to yours than it should be.
Well, what was it?
My official time was, I think it was a 5.03. From the combine. I did run at my pro day I think it was a 4.99.
Okay. The thumb press on the stopwatch was a little faster in Coral Gables that day, is what you're basically saying, than it was in Indianapolis. A few weeks prior.
I did show up a little bit out of shape. I'm normally like a high 4.8 guy, low 4.9 guy.
Right.
And that day, during that time, it wasn't in my best. I kind of was a little cocky kid and I had to be humbled, and it worked out well for me, though. I ended up, in a good situation, and here I am still, 12 years later, still doing it at a high level.
But that 4.99 that you ran at your pro day is the last 40 you've ever run in your life, though, correct? You've never run a 40 since, correct?
And I don't plan on doing it anytime soon. Well, I mean, maybe, but you might get me to do it one day,
Yes. Now, this is what we're talking about, because I'm looking to see how I can diversify Run Rich Run. This year we got Jerry Rice to do it, and he came in and he ran against Mark Laurie, who is the CEO of Walmart e-commerce, and he got Michael Rubin of Fanatics to donate a ton of money because he beat Jerry in the 40. I'm trying to see, maybe I should get big men. Maybe I should get big men to run the 40. What do you think about that idea?
I'm down for I don't know if I can run. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't know if the Ravens are going to want me running 40s anytime in the near future. But.
Okay, maybe in practice chasing Lamar Jackson, Calais. What about that idea? See how fast you can track him down.
I got some speed in me still, though. We'll see. One of these days, though, we're going to have to run a 40, and maybe we can bring somebody in, who can run it with us. Maybe like a Marcus Lemonis or somebody, and put some money up for the charity one day, man.
Well, I'm talking about maybe let's just Haloti Ngata. We can get him. Who are some other really big dudes that we can get on this front here? We can just go with guys. Vince Wilfork. Maybe get Vince involved. What do you think?
Man, it's Big Vince. That would be fun. Get Vince Wilfork and I'm doing a 40.
Well, we get Spice Adams just for the viral nature. He'll right. Who else you got over there, Chris?
Max Harrison.
Yeah, we can get these guys going.
Spice
here.
is not a big guy no more. Spice used to be a big guy. Spice a little guy now, man.
Is that right? I love it.
Spice lost like 60 pounds since he got done playing, if not more.
Hey, man, but just the whole part of raising money for St. Jude, I'm just trying to dip a toe in the same pool that folks like you and everybody else who were Walter Payton Men of the Year nominees. You guys are so inspirational, and you in particular. Congrats on winning that award. What is going on, however, in the charity world, do you think, or in the philanthropic world during the COVID-19 pandemic? Is it becoming tougher, Calais?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because I think where I try to really shine is being, in the community, going and spending time,
right.
Sweat equity into the community. And because of the social distancing, because of, the fear of spreading the virus, that kind of put a damper in the plans. I had some plans. I was actually just supposed to go by, there's a place here in Jacksonville called Don't Miss a Beat, where they have these kids that teach them how to express themselves through art. And I was supposed to go do an improv session, with the kids. And I was kind of very disappointed when we had to cancel that because I haven't improv since I was in high school, but I used to have a lot of fun doing it. And so that was something I was really looking forward to doing. But, just getting involved with the community, that's kind of where my specialty is. And, it really sucks because you kind of get stuck in the house, have to hibernate. But life is still good, very, very blessed.
You are that, sir, and congrats again on winning that award and just being you. And I'm pleased to be able to call you a friend, Calais, and I appreciate the call here today.
Hey, man, it's always a pleasure, man. You inspire many people, man. Keep up the good work, man. And I will run with you one day for Run Rich Run.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that. That will be phenomenal.
It might hurt my feelings. You gotta let me win.
You know what, Calais? It's called competition, sir. We all need it. And you might push me. You never know. You never know. Literally, physically push me is what I mean. Like, literally, I need a push sometimes, you know?
You went from one of those 6'7" to what, a 4'9", 5'25"?
No, God bless it. No, 5'9" is my best. I did 5'9" this year. I ran 6'7" in wingtips of lace-up dress shoes back in the day. I've since moved to actually running, sprinting shoes because I don't want to, pull anything. But I'm getting better. I'm trying to train year-round. You never know. I can't wait to do it again next year because that means we've got football and we're out of this whole insanity. So, and I'm going to hold you to it, Calais, okay? I'm going to hold you to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You take care of yourself. You take care of yourself.
All right, man.
That's Calais Campbell, Twitter, Instagram, at Calais Campbell. Entering his 13th season in the NFL.
Wow. He's the best.
Second-round pick in the 2008 draft for the Arizona Cardinals. And then he played in the Super Bowl with them. And trying to get back. And if there's football this year, knock on wood if you're with me, Ravens have a good shot at it. They sure do.
6-1 favorite.
By the way, so do the Saints. And that's just not saying that just to make a segue to the fact that Sean Payton is going to join us. The head coach of the New Orleans Saints on the competition committee and fresh off the, if you will, coronavirus shelf. He is next on the Rich Eisen Show here on this loyal Rich Eisen Show radio affiliate and also on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show to give us a watch.
Back.
Okay, we're back on the show. What's going on over there? You want to just let me know? I got to text the phone number here.
Not a whole lot going on.
Well, what's the poll question results so far?
Okay, we're pretty mixed right now. We're pretty mixed. Let me pull this up. Do you guys got to guess who's leading right now?
Yeah, Tiger Woods.
Tiger's leading 41%.
Because everybody wants to hang with him and talk to him.
But here's the thing. Tiger doesn't talk during matches.
All I'm saying is people think he's the best player and they want to win.
He is the best player,
Can I pick the course?
Yes. What's the
Tiger,
course?
Augusta, done. There's not even a choice.
There's no way.
I want to walk that course with Tiger.
Here's the thing. This is what would make it through the roof.
If they play at Augusta?
If they get Augusta.
Oh, that's what I was saying, where they're going to do it.
If they get Augusta
that would
National.
be insane.
That's the first phone call you make, right?
I think so.
Because I'm assuming it's shut down.
For sure.
They could get it ready for the tournament.
Just a small crew.
But
let's save it for the radio audience, the rest of this conversation, if you don't mind. I got to send this right now. But that's a great
one. Anyway,
that's you spotting dimes over there, Mikey.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do that. Would be the spot.
But it's just your playing partner. It's not about winning. It's just who do you think would have the best time?
Pebble would be just as good. Pebble would be just as good.
Playing with. The Tiger leading the way.
Tiger, Pebble, or
Peyton Manning
Augusta.
is second, 29%.
Tiger's got to win it.
Brady, 16%. Phil, 13%.
Brady probably cheats.
People don't want to play with Phil. Phil's bombing. Phil will tell you stories.
Phil would be more of a fun playing partner in terms of just having a good time than Tiger, I think.
Phil's setting the odds, right? The entire time, isn't he?
Phil is playing, for extras.
I'd be checking Brady's balls to see if they're...
Don, did you get the number I texted you? Thank you.
I'd want to play with Brady, obviously. But.
Brady'd be cool. He's second out of that group.
Well, Brady's a bro. So and plus, being a Pats fan, I'd want to get all kinds of story time.
He's your first choice.
He'd be my first choice. Yeah.
I'd have him sign my Mike flag. It'd be fun. I would go Brady. He's two.
Sign your Mike flag.
Oh, that would be. That's what I want.
Maybe we should expand it to. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow's another day.
Another day.
Have a conversation of which funny person you'd want to.
Yeah,
pair up.
I love it.
Do it with actor.
Phil would be with Peyton.
Phil's with Brady.
Phil's with Brady, huh?
Yeah.
Just to mix it up.
Yeah.
I actually like that.
Tiger.
I like that.
You know what would be funny? If Tiger and Peyton by the end of the round would probably have a new Fortune 500 company set up.
Probably.
Right.
And Brady and
Phil would have a new exercise video or something.
Someone's in the hole, $500,000 or whatever.
Have like a new video, a new exercise company or something. Phil was jumping around.
Phil is Phil's sneaky jacked. He's like a black belt and the calves.
Him and Brady would have like TV.
Remember that commercial he did
and
with
the weird dance commercial?
12.
Oh, and that video that went viral of him kicking over that dude's head.
Yeah, he's got one leg where he can really move.
He's really
right?
flexible. I think he's a black belt.
I think he is, right? Phil's a black belt, dude.
TBPM 12. New company.
Yeah.
Kick over your head.
I really hope this happens. I can't wait to see
this. Would be awesome. Yeah, right now, too.
Okay. All right, Sean Payton's going to be calling us.
Question.
Look at us showing the way that we are doing the sausage being made. I believe that's it right there. But we'll see.
I think there's odds for this already.
What, for the match?
Yeah.
In
May. As soon as these things get rumored.
They're not going to have odds.
What do you mean? Of course you'll be able to bet on this.
It'll be one of the biggest, most betting events.
No, I know that. I'm saying odds right now.
If they have what live events are people betting on right now? Nothing.
No, that would be
right. Is it horse racing? Maybe
there is some horse racing. There's
Power Mutual.
McAfee's betting on Australian rules football. That's still happening.
Is what McAfee's doing?
Yeah.
God bless him.
Australian rules.
All right. How much time do we back?
About 1:10.
Okay.
We could stay a little longer.
What do you mean we could stay a little longer?
We could talk a little longer.
You like our chats?
Yeah, I like the chats.
You like our chats?
It's quiet. I get very sad.
Well, the YouTube audience likes to see us chit chat.
Like Joel Jackson Brown.
You like our chats? We could stay a little longer. Yeah, come on, Rich, don't hang up. Even though Sean Payton's waiting, but we're
Sean Payton's listening to us.
It's the story of my life. People walking away while I'm talking. I get very sad.
That's because you're constantly talking.
I know. I get a little.
You don't stop talking. Eventually, people are going to walk away because there's stuff for them to do.
You get a little broken down. You know, I'm sad.
All right, we're back in a minute. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show, not just to our listeners on this loyal Rich Eisen Show radio affiliate or the viewers that are watching us live on YouTube at youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show, but to the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Man, I'm, again, pleased to be able to call a good friend. He's Sean Payton back here on the show. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing well, Rich. Thanks for having me on today.
You bet. Look, man, and I always do start an interview like, how you doing? But literally with you, that is the first thing I got to start with. How are you feeling? How are you doing, Coach?
I'm feeling well. I'm 100%. It's been more than 2 weeks now. I was cleared meaning, I guess, non-contagious and recovered about 6 days ago. And for me, the experience was the first couple days or 3 days of symptoms were the chills, the aches, all the things that we would normally associate with a normal flu. I had a fever on the first day, and the first day I got tested was when I had a fever and the chills. The test results took a while. It was 4 days before I got the results back. And I'm kind of fortunate to be in that group of that 95% group that had it, recovered from it, and now can't get it or can't give it. And so, yeah, I would say probably the last 6 or 7 days I felt really good. I went out, got a chance to get a 3-mile run in the other day.
That's great.
And I'm blessed. But we're back into our draft meetings. They began today, and obviously none of the facilities are open for business. So we are at the Dixie Brewing Company in New Orleans East, and our meetings are being held here. There's a conference room. Our scouts are all teleconferencing, Skyping in. There's probably maybe 5 or 6 of us in the meeting itself, Mickey, myself, Jeff Ireland, and we're getting up to speed with technology, and it's going fairly smooth so far.
Okay, so there's a little bit to unpack based on what you just said right there, Coach. So first things first, did the doctors who have been administering care to you tell you that they believe you can't give it and get it again? Is that the diagnosis
I think
you received?
That's the understanding. There's a lot of unknown, but they're confident that I can't give it or I'm contagious now. There's a process, and I forget the word they used. Generally speaking, the 48 hours, call it 4 or 5 days, 3 days, 2 days prior to you having symptoms are your most contagious days to others. It would be too hard for me to try to guess where I received it. I spent a week in New York. I was down in Florida for a couple days and then back in New Orleans, and it was that Monday 2 weeks ago, this past Monday, that I first had symptoms. They are doing some research, and I've inquired, and I think they're looking at ways to take blood from those people that have built up an immune system then towards it, and whether it's through a plasma transfer or a blood transfusion. So I'm kind of waiting to hear on that to see if I can give blood and if it can help. But no, it was for me, my symptoms were very similar to what I would have known as the flu. I didn't have the respiratory challenges that so many of the patients or the people that have right now and are struggling with it.
Okay, and now to the task at hand of I guess creating your own draft room outside of the normal Saints facility that is shut down because of what is going on in the state of Louisiana, which seems to get more and more stark every day. So you have set up shop in a brewing company in New Orleans and trying to IT it up to the point where you're going to have your own draft room. This is from where you will conduct the draft on April 23rd through the 25th, Coach?
Yeah, absolutely. Our owners, Mr. B, when he was alive, and Gail Benson bought Dixie Brewery a few years ago and built this brand new facility in New Orleans East. So it's away from everything. You really have to find it. And there's a conference room in here. There's a restaurant in here. It's closed, and yet the facility, relative to what we're looking for, is fantastic. You don't see anyone. You're not around any populace at all. I mean, the parking lot's empty. You've got to drive a little bit to get here. Everything's clean and new. There is a chef here that'll cater in the meals. And today was our first day. Every team in the league right now is in this month going to have 2.5 weeks of draft meetings to we have a board that's already stacked, but you're going to gather the information since the combine, the workouts, which few there were, and begin to create your final board. And so we'll operate from here. And we're in our first day of meetings. They began today, this morning.
Sean Payton here on the Rich Eisen Show. Mickey Loomis's comments on Peter King's podcast are certainly resonating. Is this still something that, would you say, you're in the competition committee, you're in your own situation, and you're in contact, I'm sure, with colleagues throughout the NFL. Is this still the prevailing thought amongst those in management in the NFL and certainly at the team level, that this draft is something that should be delayed, Coach?
Well, look, I know I had a chance to listen to Mickey's and read his interview, and I guarantee you many feel that that's the case. And then shortly thereafter, it was announced that, hey, the league is going to have this draft at the end of the month. And from a logistics standpoint, I think we'll be able to handle, the challenge that present itself. That won't be too difficult. I think the argument, and certainly the bigger scope of things, was just relative to everything that's going on outside of us, depending on where you're living. But this is going to be a tough month here for New Orleans, particularly Louisiana, and so we're focused on the things we can control, and that's setting up a structure here in a meeting schedule that's going to be safe for our staff. We have a few coaches maybe or personnel people that have pre-existing conditions. Rich, they'll certainly be conferenced in. They won't be present. And that might be someone that has diabetes. That might be someone that has any one of these health issues that puts them at a greater risk. We really. The meeting I had with the staff started with, first and foremost, taking care of your families and being safe. All this other stuff here really, it just kind of puts things in perspective, as you would say.
Sean Payton here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get to the business of the Saints, if you don't mind. When I heard that Drew Brees was thinking about coming back, I had the thought, being again, I'm not in the building, just as a fan, I'm like, of course he's going to come back. Was it more dicey than perhaps people thought about him coming back and playing, Coach?
I don't know. Dicey wasn't the word that I would use, and yet, but it's a great question because there's so much we just assume and we take for granted, and all of a sudden we're sitting here in 14 years, he's 15 years in. And we've been here quite a while, and I think that each year there's aside from just the physical drain, there's an emotional, mental drain and strain, especially at that position, and also all the things that take place relative to your family and your personal life. And so I think when the season ended, he wanted to spend time thinking through this decision. And look, to his credit, it's how he handles everything that he does. It's well thought out. It's well planned, and I think there was a period where he went to the Pro Bowl and he was back in San Diego, and I'd shoot him a text. I didn't want to try to convince him one way or another. I think it was best that he was around his family and close friends to make this decision, and periodically something would come up, and then I gave him this one text, reason number 27. I said, the only team we haven't beaten together is the Denver Broncos, and we play them this year. That was reason number 27.
Right.
So, yeah, I think he got to a point where he felt comfortable with what he wanted to do. I know he had a handful of other options relative to television or business, and I think when the dust settled, his gut definitely said, I want to play.
And then, obviously, I know you mentioned when you were on ESPN yesterday about, do you think that Taysom Hill and having him in the fold, and you mentioned, do you think this could be Breeze's final season? I mean, did you get a sense on it?
It could be. I think I also opened up a can of worms yesterday on ESPN because the way I said it, I think was in such a way where I just, hey, he's back for his final year, and then it was like, wait a minute, you're telling me the Who is going to stop concert touring after this season? And then I'm like, well, I don't know if I meant it that way. I meant just like he's back and this could be his final year.
Right.
I don't know for sure. I know we feel confident in Taysom's ability. Those two are very close. We'll have a role clearly for Taysom this season as we head into the year. We have to have another quarterback. When we decide to play Taysom like we do in a game, it's important that there's a third on the sideline. So, with what he does, he being Taysom, at any time he could have a finger injury, a hand injury that would prohibit him from being a quarterback for that game. And so that was one of the challenges last year when Drew got hurt and Teddy went in to start. We kind of lost a player and a half. We lost Drew, of course, as a quarterback, and then now Taysom truly was the two, and yet we had to be careful on how many snaps we gave him outside of the game, whether it was in the kicking game or on offense.
And we had Emmanuel Sanders on yesterday, and I told you I love that signing. I just love that guy, and you're going to pair him with Michael Thomas, and put him in that same room with Michael Thomas to learn as if the kid is a sponge.
Yeah,
and we've seen
absolutely.
what he's doing.
The thing that we talk a lot about when we sign a player, or what we're doing right now in the draft, is at the very end of an evaluation, we'll say, what's the vision for this player? And it might be a backup quarterback, it might be a receiver, and clearly the vision for Emmanuel's clear. He'll come in, he'll play Z. He's someone that can play inside in the slot if we choose. the vision is crystal clear, and when you have a clear vision for a player, generally speaking, that's a positive relative to predicting success. And I think he'll come in. I've heard nothing but great things about his work ethic and his attention to detail, and that was a good plus for us. And a little bit, I don't want to say unexpected, but that first wave or first day or so of free agency, we spent a lot of time focused on our own players. And, down here they would say it's a little lagniappe maybe.
Well, he did say that he didn't want to go to Green Bay because it was cold weather. I think he was kind of being serious, but he also obviously wanted to play with Drew Brees, and he said that he wanted a 2-year contract to match up with Drew. And, and in terms of running it back too, Coach, Malcolm Jenkins back in the fold right there. That had to be a nice nostalgic signing, but also somebody that that knows your program to bring him back in the mix.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that you look back and you just hope you don't have a lot of these, but he's one that got out of the building that hindsight we wouldn't have played it out the same way. There's so many things about him that reek of what we're looking for. He's got tremendous football makeup. He's a tremendous human being. He's a great teammate. He's extremely smart. His work week is very thorough and detailed. I know the fans in Philly and anybody around him in Philadelphia, he grows on you right away. He was a rookie when we won the Super Bowl in 2009. He played nickel for us and came in and contributed right away. He's still playing at a very high level. And he's a guy that's very versatile, so you see him at strong safety, but you see him down in the box closer to the line of scrimmage, maybe more than deeper away. We're excited to have him back.
Before I let you go, Coach, put your, if you don't mind, your competition committee hat on. Where does the status of pass interference being reviewable stand as we currently converse?
It's a great question. We meet again Saturday, Rich, on a conference call. And honestly, I don't know that in the last 2 weeks anyone's even thought about it. It went from being like an off-season priority to with everything else that's gone on.
Right.
I know there'll be some changes relative to personnel, the officiating, the crew chiefs, all of that we're looking at closely. And Troy and Roger and the people back in New York have already begun to make some changes and take some steps to move us forward. I think in lieu of what's happened, our normal owners meeting and competition committee week of meetings was really condensed into some of these teleconference meetings now. So I think that the biggest thing that everyone screams for is, how do we become more and more consistent in any phase of officiating, but how do we get more consistent relative to what's being overturned when it goes back to New York? And I think that is going to be really the main focus as we meet this Saturday and in the weeks to come.
And will the draft be on the competition committee conversation?
That doesn't fall on us.
Okay.
I think the powers to be, and that's above our pay grade.
Right.
I think that's full speed ahead right now, the way I understand it, and we're preparing accordingly.
Okay. Tom Brady's in your division. I don't know if you missed that. He's now in your division twice.
Yeah, he is. We exchanged a few texts.
Is that right?
Gotten to know him over the years. Here's the thing that someone asked me yesterday, your thoughts about him coming to the division. At first, playing a talented player like that, the skill set he has twice a year. But I would say even more importantly, it's what he brings to the program, any program, and in this case, Tampa Bay. That's the thing that's more concerning, because the standard or the bar or whatever term you want to use will be elevated when you insert a player like him. As fantastic as he is, he also makes others around him better. And so that's the thing that obviously makes it a great sign for Tampa Bay.
I mean, to be the guy to be in Breeze's ear in a game where he's going to be facing Brady twice. I mean, that I'm sure gets your competitive juices going too, along with Drew.
Let's keep the cannons quiet, Rich.
I love it. Keep the cannons quiet. Oh man, and Bridgewater's in the division too, Sean. That's amazing. I mean,
what Carolina? I'm thrilled for him.
I mean, it's amazing.
We've communicated a little bit. man, what a great story, and another great person. Just having a chance to be around him. We had one of the better quarterback rooms that you could ever,
I bet,
envision with Drew and Teddy and Taysom. Those guys were outstanding together. They got along. They all have a good sense of humor. And, they can all laugh at themselves. And I think that's an important trait in any industry, that humility, if you will, to make fun of yourself and yet still be confident. But Teddy's going to have that opportunity in Carolina. And listen, I'm thrilled for him. And again, it's kind of that double-edged sword where you're excited for him. You just wish it was, in another division.
I bet. Last one for you. Have you checked on Parcells? How Bill is doing?
I have. In fact, I heard you guys chatting before I got on about the horse racing. That's the one sport that's still going. And,
right.
He's got a few of these horses, and he's an avid horseman where, he's paying attention. And the other day we were just sitting around. It was Saturday. It was the Florida Derby was up. So this month has always been a month of qualifying races for the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
An important month. And we put the Florida Derby on, and you can get on a betting app and deposit money. And I hit the Superfecta, which is the first, second, third, fourth place horse, and the trifecta for like $6,400. I had to call Bill. I was so excited.
What'd he say? What's that conversation like?
Listen, he wanted to know. But he wanted to know how I arrived at these horses, and then what was the bet? And I gave him the numbers, and he's like, "That a boy," He was excited. So he's back in Florida right now.
Okay.
I know he's taking care of his health.
Good.
And for anyone like Bill, and there's so many in our country, our parents, our uncles and aunts that are all, obviously concerned and focused on their health because they fall into that group that the numbers aren't so good for. And so he's paying attention to all of that. We speak pretty much weekly.
Okay. And then in the last minute, I give you the floor. What do you want people to know about the coronavirus, Sean?
We're watching it daily on TV, and it seems so simple, and yet when you get out in your car and you drive, but first off, I don't know that anyone's explained flatten the curve and what that means. But the bottom line is, it's like any business. If the curve gets real steep, the hospitals can't handle all those people at the same time. So if we flatten it out, all right, they can handle that amount of people over a longer period of time. And so what we're afraid of is what's happened in New York and what's happening here in Louisiana and some of these hot spots is that the steepness of the curve can basically overcrowd the hospitals to the point where, hey, there's not enough equipment to care for everyone. So every one of us can be a part of this thing, the solution. And it's not, I don't want to say it's simple because obviously, man, we're stressed financially. We're stressed with groceries. We're stressed with jobs. And yet we have to stay in. We have to stay away, stay safe. And just recognize, how contagious this thing is. When you look at the numbers of, it's like times 10. And that's where we're at. This month is going to be a challenging month for our country. And I think we can help flatten that curve and then spread it out and give the hospitals, certainly those people that are working at the front of it all, the doctors, nurses, and all the people involved in it, man, our prayers go out to them.
Well, it's great to hear you. It's great to hear how well you are, and it's great to hear that you're investigating to see if your blood can be helpful to make sure that people get through all this. I hope you find some positive news on that front, and that you can also be a face-forward individual to get the word out on that important aspect of this, Sean.
Yep.
You take care of yourself, brother. Thanks for calling.
Rich, as always, thank you.
Right back at you. That's Sean Payton. That's a Super Bowl winning head coach from the New Orleans Saints. Whew. Great chat. Lots to unpack there. Calling in from a brewery. Whew. We'll review that in your calls, 844-204-RICH, when we come back. Okay, we're back. You got something in the chute there, Don? You got something you want to play right there? That was amazing, wasn't that? I mean, what a great chat that was. How about him hitting a superfecta and a trifecta? And he
How
calls
about that?
Parcells. Hey, Bill.
And your first call is to Bill Parcells.
Of course. Why not? Why not? All right. No, it's all right. We'll just chit chat a little bit here. That was great.
Oh man, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, he went. He was on planes. He was in New York. He went to Broadway. He went to. He I mean, I guess they're going to try and contract trace how he might have gotten it.
Yeah. I know he was at some event at a racetrack, I think in Mississippi.
Dude, he was at the Combine. I shook his hand on February 28th, 29th. Thank God. I mean, I don't know of anybody who's gotten it from the Combine. I don't know of anybody who has. I mean, that's one of the first things I thought of when
and it was here.
We were on planes. We flew there.
It was
we were in a
here.
building. Everybody was meeting and shaking hands, and that was late February. And it had to have been around. It definitely was in our country.
Oh yeah.
I know people that say that they think they had it in LA in January.
Yes.
That they were. I have heard from about 5 people. I don't know. I sound like I hear from people. I've heard probably from about 5 people who say I was sick as a dog. I was as sick as I've ever been in January, where they had difficulty breathing. They were nauseous. They had all what you're hearing from the coronavirus, and it took them all of January to get through it. I've heard from people that think they haven't. So that would be great to get a test to see if you have had it, because if your blood is in fact valuable for those who currently have it, could you imagine that we find that there's certain antibodies within the bloodstream of people who have had it that you can then transplant into people who are fighting it? And that's a significant aspect of the science that gets people better. Could you imagine? That's I'm reading about it. You heard Sean basically say it.
Yeah.
Keith Richards probably already had it done. Full blood transfusion. He does that every year.
Yeah.
That's how people say that's how he lives as long as he's.
Who? Keith Richards?
Yeah, he supposedly changes his entire blood like multiple times. You've never heard that?
It helps
Oh,
be
yeah,
a
it's
Rolling
an old-
Stone. Hollywood Brown just posted a picture.
Oh, yeah.
Him, Lamar Jackson, Antonio Brown.
Nope.
And I'm guessing
He left-
Jerry Jeudy
took the
probably took the
picture?
photo.
We activated is what he's got. That's Florida.
Look at that gold necklace that Lamar Jackson had.
Dude, that's the crazy thing about Antonio Brown's journey, man. He had to go to Central Michigan to get his shot.
Yeah.
He is a self-made dude. Get back to those roots.
No doubt.
Get back to those roots, man. I said that, right? A few weeks ago, months ago, whatever the hell it was. All right. So as of a half an hour ago, the governor of Florida has issued a stay-home order for all of Florida. All 50 states do this at once. Do you know what that would mean? I know what it would mean for the economy, and it would be so difficult. And I'm hopeful that the stimulus package that got passed would keep people as possibly afloat as they can be. But you just heard what Sean had to say about flattening the curve. So that happened. Okay. Lamar Jackson and those guys. I mean, hey, look, the 3 of them they're not socially distant. They're arms around each other, and hopefully they're not getting
fine.
each other sick.
They're working out.
There you go. What a crazy time we live in. All right, we're going to be back. Your phone calls and more in a moment. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. What a chat we just had with Sean Payton. I mean, we pretty much hit everything with him, getting the COVID-19 virus, getting through it, being cleared, doctors explaining to him they believe he's not going to be able to get it again or give it again. Could you imagine if that is in fact? That would be amazing. He's trying to see if he can provide, if his blood with any antibodies can be helpful. He's looking into that. In the meantime, today was the first day they've set up shop in their own makeshift draft room in a brewery that is owned by the Benson family. And that scouts and those members of the coaching staff who have pre-existing conditions, or as he said, are diabetic or staying at home, and they're conferencing in. And I guess the Saints IT group is hard at work, just like any other team that's trying to set up a makeshift draft room in a brewery. That's how it's going right now. And he also said that the competition committee is meeting Saturday. Oh, yeah, by the way, in all of this, they got to talk about what the rules are going to be if there is a playing season, which many people are giving the NFL grief for, suggesting that it's going to go off as planned. Right? Did I miss anything right there? He also said he texted Tom Brady.
He's been texting with Tom Brady.
And he also called Bill Parcells because he hit a superfecta at the Florida Derby. Because Parimutuel is still going.
Nice win right there.
He said he hit the superfecta and the trifecta. And he called up Bill Parcells to just say, hey, guess what I did?
To say,
guess
hey,
what that was?
Yeah, Bill wanted the details.
But at a brewery. So, look, it's not optimum, but every NFL team is as an adaptable organism possibly can be. That's what we talk about. Fourth quarter adversity hits. What are you going to do? The team that adapts best wins. And he said, I guess, didn't he say that by the time the draft hits, logistics won't be that much of an issue? Didn't he basically say that? He did say that.
We'll see.
And our poll question right now, 3/4 of nearly 5,000 people who voted think that the draft should go off, right?
Yeah, we're at 74%. I think the draft should go on as scheduled.
He also clarified he does not believe it's Drew Brees' last season.
Yes, clarifying something he said on ESPN yesterday.
He said, I guess he said it on Get Up, and a lot of people went up.
Yeah.
He said, what? Antennas went up.
Drew has a 2-year deal. He has a 2-year deal.
Emmanuel Sanders, all set to go.
That offense is
Malcolm Jenkins.
Stacked.
I know it is. I know it is.
Just think about those three. I mean, we don't know what Carolina's going to look like. New head coach, new quarterback. But when you think of Tampa, Atlanta, and New Orleans, those three offenses, oh, baby.
The NFC South and the NFC West. Do they play each other this year?
Let me check.
Just look at us. They don't. They played last year. They did play last year. San Francisco and New Orleans played, and neither of them finished in the same spot the year before. That was last year. Can you imagine? But the NFC South, man.
Yeah, the Falcons play the North. The South plays the North.
Matt Ryan, the Matchural.
Matty Ice.
The Matchural. I'm not giving up.
He has asked you multiple times.
Man, I'll tell you what, man. Say what you will about Matt Ryan, but Saints fans know when the Falcons play the Saints, that is it. Now here comes Brady twice a year.
Yeah.
And Joe Brady with Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, two guys that know Sean Payton's system because one coached in it, one played in it. And here comes Matt Rule with Carolina. Still, the Cardinals doing what they've done, the Rams being who they are, and last year's Seahawks-49ers games being some of the best games we saw all year long, competition-wise and in terms of matchup-wise. NFC West is still my choice. Then the AFC East is right behind. AFC East right behind with 7 other divisions in between. Right?
I mean, the poor AFC East.
You know, the NBA is interesting. Will we see NBA games this year? How many more paychecks will the players see? Rich Kleiman, who is with Durant, will be joining us in hour 3.
Well, what I do here is I answer the phones. I'm the call screener here. You just have to pretty much, just listen for the phone to ring. And, I have the volume on volume level 3 so I can hear it. My least favorite part of being the call screener is that I get nervous sometimes talking to celebrities.
Yes, and it works.
It counts? My bad, Marv. Let me put you on hold. Brockman, we have a great rapport together. I see him in the hallway all the time. We say, what's up? Noma!
All right.
Del Tufo and I, we're chatting all the time. Mikey, what's up?
You.
And then Rich, I think he really respects my judgment.
All right, anybody else have suggestions for the show?
Actually, I had an idea for a
great talk, everybody. This was great. It's gonna be awesome.
Good one.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's just a good place here.
What we're gonna do right here is go back into time.
Previously on the Rich Eisen Show.
Nobody ripped out your heart and showed it to you pumping than Michael Jordan. Nobody did it. He's the all-time greatest. Period. End of story. You have to see this documentary. I cannot wait for it. And it will end the conversation, the argument that comes up every now and then. Who's the all-time great? April 19th. That's Sunday, and then the NFL draft, and then when the draft's over, another Sunday. I cannot wait for this documentary. Can't wait.
Another Rich Eisen show is coming at you right now.
Y'all ready for this?
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
There's a real chance that Roger Goodell could host this draft from his home in Bronxville, New York.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
If all 32 teams are not allowed, then none of the 32 will be able to be allowed in their facility.
Heard nationwide, televised online at richeisenshow.com.
Do it and provide the distraction that I'm hoping we still will all want between the 23rd and 25th of April.
Earlier on the show, Alabama wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, Baltimore Ravens defensive end Calais Campbell, New Orleans Saints head coach Sean Payton. Coming up, co-founder of 35 Ventures, Rich Kleiman. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Hour number 3 of the Rich Eisen Show on the air on this loyal Rich Eisen Show radio affiliate, as well as youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. We had quite an hour number 2. Calais Campbell called in first. He's now a Baltimore Raven, and we discussed how he was surprised to get traded and didn't see it coming. But the Ravens are very excited. I mean, him and Derek Wolfe and Brockers together, Michael Brockers together, man, that is a remade defensive line. Meanwhile, we found out in hour number 1, their MVP quarterback is working out with Jerry Jeudy, who joined our show in hour number 1 to say, I asked him, he said he was just working out. You could hear the wind blowing as the conversation was going. Who are you working out with? Who's throwing to you? And he's like, LJ is throwing to me, and AB is here, and so is Hollywood Brown. We're like, well, I said, hold on, what? So then Hollywood Brown, in the middle of our Sean Payton interview, tweets out a photograph of LJ putting his arms around the necks of Hollywood Brown and Antonio Brown. And there's Lamar Jackson right in the middle. And I would have to say, based on our conversation, Jerry Jeudy took the picture.
Right?
Because he's the 4th guy there. Photograph taken by Alabama wide receiver prospect Jerry Jeudy.
Should I text Jerry Jeudy and ask him?
Go ahead. Go ahead. And then Sean Payton joins us. He said he is a handful of days clear of being cleared of having COVID-19, which he says he doesn't know where he picked it up, but he got chills and fever. And so many of us wonder again, we're walking around, the whole country's on pins and needles. We all know. You start feeling like, is my throat sore? What's going on? Is my chest feeling a little heavy? Maybe I have it? I don't know. Because, again, we don't know where to get tested, many of us. We sit there and think. He said he got the chills first. Then a fever spiked. He never got any of the respiratory problems, he said. Thank God for that. Because that's, as we know, is what sends you to the ER and potentially requires you to have to be placed in the ICU and on a ventilator. The number of cases in this country just zoomed past 200,000. The governor of Florida has finally issued a stay-at-home order for the Sunshine State. The entire state, not just the lower half, the whole thing. And I've been talking about the need of, if you can, to stay at home, please do so. Since before all of this craziness began zooming up. So let's hope everybody can do that. And again, if we are feeling well enough, we come in here, there's less than 7 people that's in our studio. Nobody's manning a camera. All of it is just automated. Our coordinating producer, bless him, Don Bowie, is in his office pressing buttons for our YouTube feed so you could see stuff. And we've got a handful of individuals and working from home, and we appreciate those guys that are doing it. Brockman and Del Tufo, we're socially properly distant away from each other. As long as we're feeling healthy, we'll be here for you. And Sean Payton said today was the first day. He was calling in from a brewery. Did he say in East New Orleans? Is that what he said? East New Orleans, in New Orleans East.
Well out of the way.
The Dixie Brewing Company, he said, which is owned by the Benson family, that is where the Saints, who cannot be in their team facility, that is where they are setting up shop for the month of April. He said there's a conference room where everybody could be socially distant far enough from, less than, what do you say, there was about 6 people. Everyone else was conferencing in from home, scouts. The IT department's getting it up and running to mimic the draft room that they would normally have in their Saints facility, which I believe is in Metairie, Louisiana.
Correct.
So, and he said that when the draft hits, the logistics won't be much of an issue. The issue, again, is for coaches who want to be there or feel the need to be there, or scouts, and that they can't be, and they're trying to keep them safe because they have pre-existing conditions and they're diabetic. So the Saints are setting up shop in a brewery, and I'm wondering what other teams are doing if they can't get into their facilities. Right? Trying to figure that all out, man. Do you have any news over there, Christopher?
Yeah, I got a few news items.
What do you got over there?
All right. So
hold on. Do we have a drop? Let's do it. Let's dress it up.
And now, with a report of the day's news from the world of sports and entertainment, someone who is not a journalist or newsman by any definition of the word whatsoever, it's Chris Brockman.
All right, what do you got over there, sir?
An interesting NFL story I saw. Frank Reich, Colts head coach, talked to USA Today yesterday about the team signing Phillip Rivers. Said it was a crazy awesome opportunity that they had to jump on. But Frank Reich did note the Colts looked at signing Tom Brady. Said they looked at his last 2 years of tape. The guy's incredible. I watched all the tape from the last 2 years. I think he's still playing at a super, super high level. We know he's the best of all time for a reason. How's this guy throwing the football so far? He is incredible. I have the utmost respect for Brady as a player and competitor. But for us, we got the guy we thought was the right fit for us. Obviously going with Phillip Rivers.
Yep. I mean,
Colts and kicking the tires on Tom Brady, though.
Of course, everybody's got a YOLO with that, right? Don't you think? Pretty much, unless you've got somebody. One thing that I thought was interesting is Calais Campbell brought up is that, because look, you have the ability to win a Super Bowl now, okay, with the roster that you've built, but you need a quarterback. Just add quarterback. Then you go veteran, right? If you've got the team that you've got built right now,
yes,
or you've got a coaching staff that might be of a certain advancing age that you want to win right now, like in Tampa, you add veteran quarterback.
Right.
Certainly if one's available, like, say, Phillip Rivers or Tom Brady, go do it. You have, however, somebody like Baltimore. I thought this was fascinating what Calais Campbell said. When they said they acquired him and that defensive line, that they know that they've got Lamar Jackson on his first contract.
And they still have 2 more years.
Correct. So that's how you have to build teams right now. You either draft and win it when they're not costing you $35 to $40 million a year.
Like Seattle did.
Right. Like Dallas wasn't able to do with Dak. Like it seems like the Jets won't be able to do with Darnold. Like it seems like the Browns will not be able to do with Baker Mayfield. I mean, time runs thin before these guys. You have to make a decision on them where you either have to pay them or, like Tampa, let them go with Jameis. So winning while they're on their first contract is paramount. That's why, I mean, they just hit it with Patrick Mahomes with the Kansas City Chiefs, where they made the AFC Championship in back-to-back years and the Super Bowl in year number 3 for him. And they still have, technically, 2 more years of his rookie contract left to try and win it. So I found that fascinating. Like, okay, yeah, we have a need on defensive line. Let's hit the hell out of that because we've got the ability to win in the next 2-3 years with this young guy. So if you're the Colts, why not take a look at Tom? Right? Or you're the Chargers, you're thinking you've got the team to win right now.
Right.
You take a look at Tom, but other than him, we're going to go with the plan of just like draft. And,
it seemed like it was
grow.
Tom or nothing, and then they still have Tyrod Taylor, and they can draft someone in the top, at number 6.
Unless there is no Tua, Burrow, or Herbert by the time they're 6th overall. Then they may have to reconfigure. And in that regard, what are the Dolphins potentially up to, Christopher?
So we know the Dolphins have the 5th overall pick.
Yes, they do.
So Armando Salguero down there, Miami Herald, he said a source told him the Dolphins are going to make an attempt to trade to number 1.
Oh, man.
They've got the ammo.
They could do it, and they could do it in next year's draft, too. Unless somebody just says, screw it, I want Trevor
But they're
Lawrence.
going up to number 1 to take whom?
Okay. Now then, let's game this one out because this is fun. Let's say they just love Tua so damn much and they go up to get him. What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means it's more expensive than if you go to number 3.
Understood. What does that mean for the rest of the dominoes that draft? Now, if you want Burrow, the Redskins are open for business. Or do they love Chase Young so much that they've got to go ahead and get him and leave it up to the Lions now have Burrow in their lap? Does Burrow fall?
Oh,
the Giants have Burrow in their lap because Burrow falls? This is if they choose Tua. Or does somebody trade up and hit it with the Redskins? Or is this just the latest breadcrumb dropped into Armando Salguero's lap? And again, people just report what they hear.
Right.
Not just saying that they're immediately turn it around and
I mean, this is lying season.
Right.
You know, but
they don't just take it and turn it around just to get a click. I believe he's heard this from a source that believes it. Correct. The latest Dolphin shot across the Lions' bow saying, we just may not deal with you because you're asking for way damn too much at 3. The same way we heard that, hey, the Dolphins actually like Herbert more than just Tua, right?
Right.
We heard that a few weeks ago, which I translated for them to basically tell the Lions, we may not even deal with you because you're asking for way too damn much. But could they be trading up for Burrow, that they're off of Tua? They love Burrow so much now that they want Burrow? And then what? That means the Bengals fall to 5, means they don't get Chase Young, they don't get Burrow, and that probably means they don't get Tua either, because if that happens where the Bengals trade out and move down to 5 and get a whole bunch of picks.
Chargers go up to 3.
The Chargers call up the Lions and
say, take Joe Burrow. Could you imagine?
Or they take Tua.
Or Tua, right.
Yeah, man. So that's a lot to chew on right there.
But the idea of the Dolphins trading up to 1 to take Tua suddenly, team's got a real decision to make. Like the Lions, do they hold on to that pick and now suddenly Matt Stafford's available?
Dude.
Do the Giants cut bait on Daniel Jones?
This entire conversation is probably why the NFL wants the draft to go off on April 23rd.
Yeah.
All of these things. If this happens, that leads to the domino falling that we just discussed. That could also include the trading away of Matthew Stafford and the total reconfiguration of the Lions. Right? Could you imagine what that might mean? So put it all together. This is the draft intrigue that we're all looking for. Or it might mean nothing because, as you point out, it's lying season.
Right?
Let's take a break. There's a little bit more to discuss. I want to be on time for our next guest. It's his first time calling in. He's one of the top agents associated with the association. His client, Kevin Durant, I think you've heard of him. He is the co-founder of 35 Ventures. He's also all about the boardroom platform. And the conversation that's going on in the NBA right now is interesting. Will there be any games played the rest of this season? And if not, if they're canceled, what does it mean for paychecks, the last paycheck to be cut for people like maybe Durant, who, by the way, is one of the few players in the NBA whose contract calls for most of his 90% of his salary to be paid out by this date. But that's a very rarefied air. A lot of NBA players, if they don't get paid past this date, might not, because they're paid on a 12-month situation. It's not during the season like the NFL.
Right.
That's a lot of cash that would be placed in escrow. So there's business to be discussed, and then we'll discuss about there's Jadeveon Clowney news as well. So we'll turn our attention a little bit to basketball in this football crazy world, and more of your phone calls at 844-204-RICH. Rich Kleiman will be joining us next live on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, what do we got talking about right here?
Well, I'm going to text Jerry Jeudy and ask him if he took that photo.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How's the bots? Have
TJ was out of control. He got him.
He was on the bot wall right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, is he working camera right now? Oh,
yeah, I mean,
I guess you know what? Like one of the cameras is trained on a guest chair that we're not going to use.
So put a close up.
Is it on? Is that the shot now? I like that shot.
All right, look at that. Hey. Oh, now he's looking now. See, that helps TJ out.
Does it work?
No, stay where you normally are.
Stay where you normally are, Chris.
But I got to turn.
You got a problem with turning?
Like
Your chair
local
turns.
news. He's got to do local news.
Can't go right.
You can't go.
Got to do local news.
You don't need to look in the camera. You just need to look at me. Or you could do that.
And now for the local weather.
Dude, that shirt's a little tight on you.
Because I have it buttoned all the way up.
I mean, says the guy.
Oh yeah, the camera needs to be cheated a little bit where Chris is on the left side of your screen there, TJ. So move it a little bit. Yeah, it's there you go.
Yeah, a little bit more of the trinkets in.
Brockman could go.
No, it's called as Don Bowie called it, talk space.
Brockman, you
that's
good.
good.
Brockman, you can go Hall of Fame shirts on Rich if you want.
Yeah, at least mine covers my stomach.
That's good right there.
I had to help you out there.
By the way, has anybody commented no sweater today?
Oh yeah, no.
If you had no sweater, you got just.
Oh, by the way, no sweater's like 12-1.
Yeah, that's a good bet.
No, I don't know.
No sweater. Yeah, it's a good bet.
Boy,
it's a future.
By the way,
what are you as a sports gambler doing? You must be because Sarah likes to take in some
of
those chances as well,
we're big. We're big casino people.
I know that.
But, so nothing going on.
Zero, right?
Yeah. Someone just told me to lose some weight.
Oh, that's not right.
Are you serious?
Oh, dude,
that's messed up, bro.
I mean, camera adds weight. I'm not as big as I appear on camera.
You just don't.
Yeah, you can't.
Don't take it to heart, man. Keith Olbermann told me this a very long time ago. He goes, you know, you're going to hear a lot of stuff from people. They don't have your personal interest in mind. That was the way he would basically say, don't take it personally because they don't know you personally. They don't have your personal interest in mind. And I think
I do think about that on Twitter sometimes. I'll have a response fired up, and then I'll take a breath, and then I'll delete it.
Warren and I traded a couple of. I gave him one piece of advice. He gave me one piece of advice that he took to heart, and I've taken to heart. He was named. His Twitter handle for a long time was QB Killer.
QB Killer,
yeah. And I told him, like, Warren, your name. It's got to be your name. That's it. Make it your name at Warren Sapp. Don't be cute with
QB Killer was a great name, though.
No, I know that, but don't be cute with nicknames.
Right.
Like your name. Nobody can take away your name. It's at Warren Sapp. So he changed it. And then he told me that I should not respond to anybody on Twitter that gives me crap or criticizes me with less than 1,000 followers. And I'm like, like you're suddenly an elitist? He goes, no. You're giving them your platform to respond. And if they have 1,000 followers, it's enough of their followers that you need to address it. Right. Like it's too large of an audience for you to not address it.
Makes sense.
So like the people like that respond to trolls who have like 3 followers.
Yeah, I don't get that.
You're now taking your monster platform of followers.
Good way of thinking about it.
And taking that
to them
spotlight and putting it on something that only 2 other human beings were seeing. So, Don Bowie, well done. Why do I take this so personally? Here's why I take this personally. Because this is crap. That's crap. Right? Because that's also a window into somebody's
soul. If you took one Uber ride, or you might get like a 10.
It's going to be that way for a long time. Because, I don't know the next time we're going to get in an Uber. But when I do, honestly, I'm going to be like Mr. Rourke from Fantasy Island. How may I help you? What do you want? How can I make your dreams come true? How, man?
Can I ride up front
How
with
can
you?
I help you? How can I make your
I
dreams
still
come true?
can't get over McAfee taking over the wheel from that guy.
I mean, that's funny. That's actually funny.
That is
McAfee
insane.
That's funny.
told an Uber driver who's driving too slow for you, get out of the front
Like
seat.
real life Grand
Let
Theft
me
Auto.
drive. Let's create 15 million different liability issues for you and me.
Take over.
And his rating's better than mine.
Now, if Mario
People have
Andretti gets in the
vomited-
car,
Look,
I have no problem.
Don, you've got everybody's Uber rating at your fingertips. Great. There you go. 481. Somebody vomited in a car twice.
Yeah, 465.
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. We've got Rich Kleiman calling into the show in short order here. Let's take some phone calls while we are waiting. Mark in Omaha, Nebraska, you were here on the show. What's up, Mark?
Hey, Rich, my old Eskimo brother, Don Mattingly brother. Thank you for keeping it sane, my man.
I'm trying my best. I'm glad you said the word Don Mattingly because I didn't know where you were going with the start of that one.
That's the wrong way.
Very honest with you, Mark. I mean, give a guy a little bit of a heart attack, why don't you? All right, so
Hey, we turned 50 years old the same year, different decades, but same business year. So I consider us turning the 50.
Sure. What's on your mind?
Had to cancel a 50-year Vegas trip to March Madness with my buddies, but to be selfish for me to, a lot of people are doing a lot worse. So that trip will come around. So but I wanted to do something fun. You were on hiatus on my birthday. I wanted to do some start bench cuts from our years of birth.
Okay. Now, hold on a second, Mark. If you don't mind, I know you've been holding on quite some time. I want to do this with you, but my next guest has just called in. Will you stay on hold? We'll do this on the back end of it, okay?
Absolutely,
You're
Rich.
the man. All right. That's Mark in Omaha, Nebraska. We'll put a pin in that. Put him back on hold. Mike, be careful. Don't just hang up on him.
Yeah, put him on hold.
All right, very good.
And I was multitasking.
I was very surgical of you right there.
Yes, I was
very
was in a
surgical of you
multitask
right
moment
there.
there.
I appreciate that. This man is a co-founder of 35 Ventures, and the boardroom, you could see him with Kevin Durant on ESPN Plus. It's a fun show for you to watch right there. He is Rich Kleiman. How are you, Rich? You there, Rich?
I have him up.
You have him up? Man, I even put Mark on hold and everything.
Rich, you on the phone?
All right. You want to put him back on there and see you want to hop back? Adam, our call screener, can get back on there for a second. I gave him the introduction and everything. All right, we hop back on, see if he's there. Rich Kleiman is calling into the show. Okay, he's back on. You there, Rich?
I am here. Sorry about that, Rich.
All
Mark.
good. It's all good.
Mark from Omaha. I apologize.
That's. How are you, Rich? How's it going?
I'm doing all right, day by day. How are you guys doing?
I am doing fine. Where are you? Are you calling in from New York City right now? Is that where you are located? Where are you located?
Well, I live in New York City, but I was able to get out of the city.
Right.
So I'm outside of the city, but not far.
Okay. Well,
And, I'm just watching and trying to understand what's going on in the world like everyone else.
okay. Let me ask you about your client, Kevin Durant. How's he feeling? What's going on with him?
He's good. He's out of isolation. He's been cleared. He was fortunate to be symptom-free throughout the whole process, so that was a blessing. But he's just like the rest of us, quarantined now in kind of regular isolation. So, but the scary part is past.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. Has there been any contact tracing? Could he have gotten it in any way, shape, or form when the NBA was active, Rich?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I think it's like too hard to even figure out. I know there was other net players that tested positive, but I think that especially being in New York City and not even knowing how long it could be like dormant in your system before it gets tested or shows a symptom, and in Kevin's case, never had a symptom, it's probably too hard to even figure out.
Okay. If you don't mind, before we get into some other stuff with you, just the business of the NBA, do you think, as you and I are sitting here, Rich, that we're going to see games for the 2019-2020 NBA season in any way, shape, or form? What are you hearing? What are you thinking?
I am thinking no, and I'm, I don't know. I understand. I saw Mark Cuban on TV this morning, and I understand the thought process behind thinking that this could be such an important distraction,
of course,
such an important thing to get back on television.
We lost him again, I think.
Okay. Let's see if we can get him back on right there.
You lost me?
Oh, yeah. Yes,
we're back.
Yep, there you are. You said get back on television.
Yeah, and I understand that thought process to a degree because in every other time in our life, we always thought of sports as like the ultimate distraction from something tragic. But this is ongoing and this is unknown. And when you hear Dr. Fauci talk about the numbers that he's projecting, it's hard to think that this is salvageable. And it's hard to think that like some makeshift season will do the trick. And I know there's so much money at stake, and I'll leave that to the NBA PA and to the NBA. But in terms of just getting the NBA back in motion, it feels so hard to understand or wrap your head around right now.
Rich Kleiman here on the Rich Eisen Show, and one of your client, Kevin Durant, is one of the few players that's going to have 90% of his annual salary paid out by today in this check that arrives today. And I know you mentioned that the NBA and the NBA Players Association, the NBPA, is discussing this. Do you think that there will be 25% of players' remaining salaries placed in the league escrow? That there is going to be some sort of force majeure? What are you thinking right now, Rich Kleiman? I'm
thinking that I don't know. I mean, again, I think we're fortunate. I was fortunate, and Kevin's fortunate to not be in that category. But I think that another thing I saw Mark Cuban say this morning that was interesting, which is hard for people to kind of sympathize with, is that these owners have so many other businesses that may be leveraged and bankrupt at this time. But I think in general, especially when the idea of people talking about how at all costs to bring these players back, to think that in the interim, though, we'd be reducing their salaries, and that, the Kevins and the LeBrons, those guys are anomalies. There's players that maybe not in the position to have something like that happen to them. It'd be unfortunate, but it's clearly the sign of the times right now. And I could see something like that happening. I truly could.
And would that? I mean, what sort of a situation do you think that would create? Would that be what would be the adjective you'd use to describe
I think that would be unfortunate, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that there would have to be other ways around that in the short term right now, especially, like I said, when you hear such deep conversation about how to get these guys back on the court. And, a lot of times we forget the emotional side of it from players' standpoint and the psychological effect of, like, they're at home with their families too, scared like the rest of us, watching this in real time on the news. And yes, there is something great about normalcy and getting back to it, and we all have to work in some way, shape, or form now as well. So, it's challenging, but it's not as easy as just like quarantining players and getting them back on the court to perform during the summer as entertainment and distraction. Like, I don't know how long this will go on for. None of us do, So I don't know. It's a tricky one, but I think that I would hope that at all costs we could keep that from happening.
Of course, Rich Kleiman, the co-founder of 35 Ventures, and you can watch him and his client Kevin Durant on the Boardroom on ESPN Plus, which we'll talk about in a second. Right here on the Rich Eisen Show. So what advice, if, Adam Silver's door is open, and how do you think the NBA should proceed right now, Rich?
I don't know. I don't have that answer. I honestly don't, and I think that's probably why Adam's door is open and he's listening to the different owners and players and the union reps. I mean, it's a tricky one because when there's such fluid information in the world, there's not like there's any true word from any government official. Obviously, there's no true what the next step would be. But I do know that the players are stepping up as they always do, and you see it on social media,
right.
You see it on traditional media, that more so than any other group of people, it seems to me that NBA players have such a good pulse on the world a lot of times and are able to kind of step up and be a voice of calm and give back always. And, you know, a lot of times you see it. You see them talking about it. But there's a handful of players that don't feel the same need to always talk about it, that are quick to activate in their community and give back in any way they can. So I think the power of the NBA and the power of the NBA superstars and players is something that's important right now. And maybe if the season can't come back on, there's some way that these media companies that have so much money committed to the NBA and the players themselves can come together to use that platform to continue to give back during this time, because it's hard to imagine the season happening. It just is.
I hear you, man. I mean, and you're a New Yorker just like me, and so you know what who Marbury is clearly, and not just being a New Yorker, but you're an executive producer on a film for Marbury called A Kid from Coney Island. Couldn't help but notice that he is trying to bring some much-needed surgical masks and PPE to the New York healthcare system. What can you tell me about Stefan and how he's working with that and everything else in your relationship with him, Rich?
Yeah, I spoke to him this morning just to kind of like confirm with him that like he was so right. I mean, I remember sitting with him, him and Kevin a few days before the premiere of the movie in Brooklyn. This was like maybe the March 1st or 2nd. He was just talking about how little we were talking about the realities of this virus, and he was so aware of what was going on in China and had so much information. It was telling us stuff that even a month ago we were looking at him like, man, that doesn't happen over here, like a month ago.
Right.
And just I had to text him today, and I saw that someone in his family had passed away. I think it was
his cousin
or something,
yeah.
and I wanted to reach out to him and also just like to congratulate him again on what he was trying to do in sending these masks back. He's an incredible dude, man. He's so misunderstood, and I think I grew up in New York. I was a senior in high school when he was a senior at Lincoln. I followed him all through high school. Any New Yorker kind of held him in a different category than anyone else we kind of like knew at that point in basketball, and he was already like a star to us. And when I had an opportunity to work in this movie, and Kevin had an opportunity to work in this movie, it was a no-brainer. His story is incredible. You could have ended it before China, and the movie was incredible. And then to think that he went over there and created this whole world for himself, and people that fell in love with him there. There's museums built in his name, and a musical that was performed in his name. I mean, it's incredible. And now he's really trying to come back, and in the biggest time of crisis, he has this platform that he created in China to help, and it's pretty amazing. And it's amazing timing that his movie's coming out now. I think it comes out next week, the 7th. It'll be on Apple. He's just remarkable, and the story's remarkable. You'll love it.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that. I'm from Staten Island, so you know I would always drive past Coney Island to visit my my mother's parents, my grandparents on my mother's side. So I know all about Coney Island, all about the area. I know all about the Belt Parkway. I know all about that area. And you're right, Marbury was a star well before the rest of the country even knew about him. Rich.
Oh yeah. I can't believe you're from Staten Island. You don't meet people from Staten Island very often.
You know, what do you mean? Well, hold on a second. I mean, you don't have out of borough bias, Rich, do you?
No.
Okay.
It's actually out of borough like fascination. I don't even know anyone from Staten Island.
We exist.
The Mob Wives are from Staten Island. I remember that show.
Rich, me, the Wu-Tang Clan, Alyssa Milano. The list can go on and on here. Ricky Schroeder.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean we
Inspect the Deck and Rich Eisen.
We expect. Yes, Rich. Yes.
That's my man right there.
You know what? I mean, put us all on a boardroom episode and watch us fly. Okay, that's all I'm saying. You can watch us. We'll take you to. It'll be ESPN plus that particular episode. Okay.
Love it.
When did you first meet Durant? How did you cross paths with Kevin, Rich?
I met him his rookie year. I had a mutual friend who I was working with in the music business, artist by the name of Wale, who said that he was coming in to see a Jay-Z concert. He knew I was going, and Kevin was just coming in with his brother, so he wanted to know if I wanted to go with him. And we met, kind of hit it off. We were 10 years apart in age, and we just kind of kept in touch and talked basketball. And I was always sports junkie first, wanted to be in the sports business, but just took an unconventional route into it. So when I finally had an opportunity to start working in sports, and then it was at the right time for him making a change in his career, it was just like we had built up that trust and that friendship. So it was kind of seamless and to start working together.
What's the most misunderstood aspect to him that you want people to know about Kevin? What do you got for me, Rich, on that front?
I don't know if I want them to know, but if to answer, I guess that he doesn't like. People never believe me. He really doesn't care about the things that people give him a hard time for caring about. It's just more, the same way that there's things that you talk about on air during the day, and it's part of your job. And,
right.
It's entertaining, but do you care? Do you hold it too close to your heart? No. And it's like when he responds and communicates with people, I think, I said this the other day, it's way more a reflection of the time we're in than, when people comment on the fact that he's just way too sensitive. I think that's how he engages. And, I think people have learned to actually love it. And it's just kind of part of the fabric of, like, what the players and athletes and celebrities do now on social media. He just was doing it first.
Well, I don't even cross paths with him too many times, but I just remember as I'm walking around the turf of Super Bowl 50, and I'm like, there's somebody in a photographer's vest who's really, really tall.
Yeah.
And it was Kevin. Kevin took photographs of Super Bowl 50. Like, that's part of his, I guess, outside of basketball loves, right? Is photography and things like that?
Yeah, it was at the time. I think, like, it's not that it's not that rampant in his life, but he's just somebody that, like, challenges himself a lot, which is helpful with our business that we've built. And, the ideas that he has, he always challenges people to want to try to bring them to fruition. And I think he was into photography, and we kind of found, like, an incredible outlet for it. And that was one of those, like, experiences where I almost felt like afterwards it was like, okay, I'm done with photography because I just shot in the sidelines in the end zone for the Super Bowl. So it's like, what do I do now?
That's right. You kind of reach that sports pinnacle, right, when you're shooting Super Bowl 50. That's pretty much it, right?
I mean, that was remarkable. And, and it was funny because after people had kind of gotten over it for a second, we're all going back to watching the Super Bowl because it's a Super Bowl. And then you, like, glance over every so often, and it's like he's still in the end zone sitting there shooting, like laying down next to the rest of the photographers. It was kind of amazing to watch.
Well, I look forward to seeing Kevin back out there, man. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I just remembered, you and I don't think we've ever met face to face, but I just saw your face on the screen when Kevin's injury took place during the NBA Finals. And I could just see on your face that this is serious, and I wonder what that moment was like, Rich. That must have really just been quite a moment for you and your guy together. That night.
I mean, before that, the energy in the stadium was. I don't know if you were at the game.
I was not
on TV, but the energy in the stadium was incredible, and it was. It kind of felt like. Daniel LaRusso was going to fight, like Karate Kid. Like he was,
nice.
Like it was. The energy was insane, man.
Well
it was
done.
incredible. And did you know that reference?
Come on, man. Did I know the reference? I mean,
I just want to make sure. I didn't hear anything.
But you're not seeing me. I was painting a fence, Rich, when you said it. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, I got you. Oh yeah, I got you. Keep going. Sorry, I didn't interrupt your flow.
It was incredible. So, and he. Like, I think everyone saw it. Like, he just seemed bigger than life when he was out there in those first 8 minutes and, like, hitting a few of those shots. And it just seemed like we were about to watch something on another level. And to have it go from one emotion to the other so quickly, to be somebody that, like, on a personal level I cared about, and then to think about how much he put into making his decision to do it and to play, and just all of those emotions, like, at that moment, I think I walked right onto the court, like no regard for the security rules, just like kind of walked right off the court, kind of trailing behind him. And, it was just like on a personal level then. But it quickly changed because his attitude about it and his resilience and his kind of ability to think about it in the big picture and to think like, okay, this is awful. Like, this is awful, but I did what I wanted to do. I'm going to find the blessing in this, and he did. He has all year in terms of, like, his approach to rehab and his approach to being a leader within the team and the organization. I think everyone's seen him on the sidelines for most of these home games, and, he took the challenge on. And so it was, like, no time to sit there and really wallow about it.
And look, man, again, we're from the same – where are you from originally? Like, what's your hometown? Manhattan. Okay, no wonder you feel that way about Staten Island. You send us your garbage. We'll take it in. I understand. So put it all together. Your client is at the forefront of a seismic change in the basketball world in that city. I mean, nobody ever thought about the Nets when they were out in New Jersey, when they were out in Long Island, maybe Dr. J, right? Now this is a seismic change potentially in the New York basketball scene because your client, along with Kyrie, chose the Nets. Rich, you're aware of that, right?
I did find out about that.
Now, when it all comes down to it, though, Rich, did he ever twitch in the direction of Madison Square Garden? Did it ever come close? Did that ever happen?
I don't know, honestly. Well, no, I don't think so because I think that it's hard. Like, I think the first free agency, it was definitely more of one of those processes where we ended up renting this house in the Hamptons. It was ridiculous.
I heard of that.
It was such a kind of like for someone like me who wanted to be around the NBA but gave up his dreams of playing so early on to be in a room and have he come in and Greg Popovich come in and Steve Kerr come in and all the players come in and Tom Brady come in. It was insane. And I think Kevin really was so connected to OKC but wanted to really look at all the different options and chose the best option for him in his game and always relies and leans back on, if I do what's best for me, the basketball player, the rest will work out. And that's hard for people to believe. So in this case, he knows where I'm from. He knows I was a Knicks fan growing up. He knows the teams that have cap space. But he's such a locked-in competitor that, to sit there and go back and forth with the scenarios at 30 years old when he knew the league so well, he knew everything. And as our business has evolved and we make decisions and bigger levels and bigger things with our whole company, I knew how his thought process was going to be. So it wasn't like, what kind of odds do we have or who can he come in to pitch you? It was just let me know, here's the info you need, but I know you're doing this your own. I know you talk to the people you need to talk to. You know what it is to play. And it was, I said this all the time about it had more to do with the Nets and less to do with any other teams. And people wanted to make it Knicks versus Nets. It was just the Nets. They were the right opportunity, and they were in New York. And there was another team in New York who was much more fanfare. So I get it all, but that's just not how his kind of mind works when he's making decisions.
Sounds like an episode of The Boardroom. Love the show, man. It looks like you're enjoying it too, Rich.
I do enjoy it. And we're launching our podcast soon. We've launched a newsletter. We're starting to do some live events. We did a live boardroom at Sloan Conference right before the whole world shut down.
Right.
And, really trying to create this sports business platform that is more geared towards fans. The Sports Business Journal has always been much more of an industry trade, and this is something that really gives you a look into the realities of the sports business now and the conversations that are happening and the deals that are being made and the entrepreneurs within the business and the speed and energy of the business and the culture around sports. So it's been exciting, and there's a lot coming, and we're trying to stay very active and give a real kind of voice to these athletes and different entrepreneurs during this time as well. And it's cool. I'm excited. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, everybody check it out on ESPN Plus, The Boardroom with Kevin Durant and
on theboardroom.tv. We have our own distribution.
Oh, pardon me.
And on theboardroom.tv. Boardroom.tv. That houses all the information, all the episodes, the ones on ESPN and the ones that we put out directly to consumers.
That's I want you to get the platform that you need, Rich. Boardroom.tv. Look, I feel like
I'm not going to not say it.
No. I love it. I want to make sure I got this thing straightened out because I feel like we grew up together. I really do. I feel like maybe we went to summer camp together or something like that. That's what it kind of feels like to me.
Where'd you go to camp?
I went to Camp Loconda and Trails End Camp. Where'd you go?
I didn't go there, but I mean, don't take this the wrong way.
Great setup. Go for it. What?
I think you may be a little older than me, right? Just because I know when I was a kid.
I'm 50. How old are you?
TV, and I wasn't.
How old are you?
43.
God bless you. I am older than you.
What are you, 46?
No, I'm 50.
No.
Yeah. Yes. Staten Island takes away 4 years, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, got it.
It's the beauty
you ever meet any of the mob wives?
I did not, but I did go to school with one of Sammy the Bull Gravano's members of his family. We all knew.
Karen?
No, I do not. But Karen, was that a Goodfellas reference? Did you drop one right there?
That's like a double entendre. No, his daughter's name is actually Karen Gravano from the Mob Wives.
There you go.
Mob Wives, yep.
Okay, very good. Hey, Rich, love the chat. Let's do this more often, okay? Let's do this more often.
To. Appreciate it, guys.
Right
Stay
back at
safe and healthy.
You too. That's Rich Kleiman right here, the co-founder of 35 Ventures.
That was great.
Boardroom.tv. Boardroom.tv.
The Boardroom.tv.
The Boardroom.tv. The Boardroom.tv. All right, we'll come back. Take your calls in a moment.
I
Honestly,
also
sounded
thought
like a guy that I grew up with right there.
Well, I
Rich
also
Kleiman.
thought he was going Goodfellas with.
out of.
Sounded like a guy.
Aaron.
I was like Bunk 11 with
He
Rich
could be-
Kleiman. Rich
yep.
Kleiman.
Yeah.
I'm going to the Yankee
He
game today.
goes, he goes, not to have any problems, you know.
Hey,
But
man,
you know,
he's
you were
from-
on TV and I was a kid and I wasn't on TV yet. Okay, got it.
He's from Manhattan, and of course he's dumping
Manhattan.
on.
Oh, is this the PSA? The Larry David PSA?
Oh, this is great.
This is amazing. This is from the office of the governor of the state of California, Gavin Newsom. Got Larry David to record a public service announcement about social distancing. Check it out.
Hello, I'm Larry David.
Have you seen this?
Somebody put me up to this because it's generally not the kind of thing I do, but I basically want to address the idiots out there, and you know who you are. You're going out. I don't know what you're doing. You're socializing too close. It's not good. You're hurting old people like me. Well, not me. I have nothing to do with you. I'll never see you. But you know, let's say other old people who might be your relatives. Who the hell knows? But the problem is you're passing up a fantastic opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to stay in the house, sit on the couch, and watch TV. I mean, I don't know how you're passing that up. Well, maybe because you're not that bright. But here it is. Go home, watch TV. That's my advice to you. You know, if you've seen my show, nothing good ever happens going out of the house. You know that. There's just trouble out there. It's not a good place to be. So stay home and you know, don't see anyone except maybe if there's a plumbing emergency. Let the plumber in and then, you know, wipe everything down after he leaves. But that's it. Okay.
Okay.
What a great way for it to end.
Okay.
One of our favorite drops. Good old LD, man.
Okay.
It's over already.
How much time do we back? About
We got three and a
minutes?
half. We got
All
a
right,
long
put Mark in Nebraska back on here.
All right, hang on.
All right, Mark. You there, Mark?
Yeah, I'm still here, man.
Okay, your start bench. Oh, nice.
Start now. Bench.
Just sit down and be quiet.
Or cut. Get out.
All right, Mark. What do you got for me? The start bench cut.
Well, I got 4 of them. I want to close with the sports team, so I'll give you a pick, and you tell me if we run out of time.
Yeah, we got 3 minutes. What do you got?
Okay. TV shows, movies, or songs of 69, 70s.
TV shows. 1,000,000%. Okay.
Marcus Welby, MD. Gunsmoke. Hawaii 5-0.
Okay, I start Hawaii 5-0. I bench Gunsmoke, and Marcus Welby can be cut. Marcus Welby's out the door. What do you think?
Movies or songs?
Movies.
Patton. MASH the movie. Little Big Man.
Never saw Little Big Man, so I'll cut that. We got to start Patton because George C. Scott is George C. Scott, and I'll bench MASH the movie. Do you guys ever see MASH the movie?
Yes.
You never saw MASH the movie?
I've never seen MASH the TV show.
Oh my! Are you serious? What are you giving me that face for?
When did that go off the air? Before I was
Oh
born?
my gosh! All right, Mark, give us the music, and Del Tufo will handle the music. Go for it.
Bridge Over Troubled Water. American Woman. I'll Be There by Jackson 5.
Oh, that's a tough one. Start bench cut,
I'll
Mike.
Be There. Bridge Over Troubled Water. See ya. And what was the second one? That's I'm starting. I'll be there.
Starting. I'll be there.
Bridge Over Troubled
American
Water.
Woman, Buffalo, Springfield, I believe.
That's being.
You're going to bench.
Yeah.
American Woman, and
I mean the Jackson. I mean, come on. It's not even a question.
All right, Mike Del Tufo, speaking half of the English language in the start bench cut. Hey, Mark, will you do this like every day with different ears? Call back in. I love that.
Sure, absolutely. Hey, we got to close with the sports teams.
Okay, go for it. Start bench cut. Go for it, Mark.
Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl IV. It's not the Super Bowl I Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
The Knicks over the Lakers.
Right.
These are championship teams of the year, by the way.
Right. Okay.
And the 1970 Orioles beat the Reds in that World Series.
All right. I'm going to clearly start the Knicks over the Lakers. Come on, that's a no-brainer for me. I will bench the Kansas City Chiefs just out of respect for my Kansas City friends, and will matriculate the ball down the field. And then my apologies to the O's, but they're cut. See ya. That's it.
Yeah, because I mean, you really can't name anybody off that. That wasn't a memorable. Really, you don't
Well,
care
I mean,
about that one.
wasn't that the Palmer Cuellar pitching staff? By the way, thank you. Thanks for the call, Mark. Do you know who would know that off the top of his head?
Jeremy Shep.
Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens. 1 year. That's all he wanted.
Man, they won 108 games.
Dude, they were great. The Earl Weaver years, that team was amazing. All right, we're back in a second. That was fun. Do that again, Mark. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Yeah, go to our YouTube feed for a little fun. We got Mark in Nebraska back on. He came up with some great start bench cuts for all of us. That was fun.
Yeah, I like that.
From 1960 to 70, movies, TV, music, and sports teams. Well done, Mark.
That's 70 Orioles team. 3 20-game winners.
Cuellar, Palmer, and
Dave McNally.
Dave McNally. Oh, yeah, man.
Dang.
David in Houston's been hanging on for a long time. How you been, David?
Hey, I got a story for you guys. The officer asked me where I was between 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
I said kindergarten. What's it to you?
Nicely done, David. We all need a laugh.
Well done.
I'm from originally Montclair, New Jersey, playing tennis, and wondered if you're hitting your backhand with one hand or two hands when you're taking a lesson.
One-handed, sir, and it's becoming more and more Federer-like. Be very honest with you, it's buttery. And I'm uncorking. There's no other way to put it. I'm uncorking. I'm moving. I've got my shoulder where it needs to be, and I am uncorking. My backhand may be better than my forehand, unfortunately.
Great. I want to tell you about the first football game I went to, the first NFL game.
Okay.
It was in 1966, and the first two sidewinder, they called them, soccer-style kickers, were playing against each other. New York Giants versus Washington. And the Giants prevailed in the only win of the year.
Pat Summerall? Did he kick it? Is that Summerall?
No, these are the Gogolak brothers playing in 1966.
Very good.
Pete Gogolak was 2 years with Buffalo and bought by the Giants. His younger brother, Charlie, from Princeton, was with the Washington Redskins. And that was the first game I ever attended. I had a picture of Summerall in the basement with his foot way up in the air. But then I go to see my first game, and they're soccer-style kickers.
Amazing. David, I appreciate the call, brother. You call back. Keep calling in. Want to talk old school, Christopher? Jason Stark tweeted this out today. As we now know, the dreadful month of March of 2020 is in the history books. Hopefully never to be seen again. And April of 2020 is starting today, and we all know we need to, oh God, get through this together. Jason Stark pointing out, as we are now in the month where baseball should happen, the only other times in which no baseball was played in the month of April: 1878, 1879, 1880, and 1882. And now here comes 2020. Awful. In the meantime, we'll try our best to be here for you. Jerry Jeudy, want to thank him, my fellow member of the tribe. It's good having him on the show.
He did not text me back.
Honorary member of the tribe. He's never had gefilte fish. Calais Campbell, Sean Payton, what a great conversation that was, and Rich Kleiman. Seemed like, I thought I was in bunk 11 with him at one time. Sounded like he's one of those guys I grew up with. Of course, he was from Manhattan, saying, I've never met someone from Staten Island. Okay, pal.
Over the bridge.
Okay, pal. Tomorrow's show.
I know, so disrespectful.
Tomorrow's show. The man who gave up 12. The man who gave up 12. Now wearing number 14, Chris Godwin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Jeff Schaefer, whose show Dave is on the air right now. He's the creator, he's part of Curb. We'll see you then.
Hello, I'm Larry David. Obviously, somebody put me up to this because generally not the kind of thing I do, but I basically want to address the idiots out there, and you know who you are. You're going out. I don't know what you're doing. You're socializing too close. It's not good. You're hurting old people like me. Well, not me.